It is Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, which means it's time for Beat the Line NFL show here on Pub Sports Radio with my co-host Rob Bebenek and the great cappers in the chat. It is time to beat up this NFL Week 4 card. Bebsie, my man, how are you on this Tuesday evening? You're muted, my guy.
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you? How is Jimmy?
I'm good. I got a little carried away on Sunday. And it was a very long, pressure-filled day of 19 bets, and it's a little much. It was a little much. I guess I was a little overconfident, and I was, sitting there. I was up 11.8 units going into Sunday. And overall in week 3, I went 8 wins and 11 losses, down 4.25 units. And I don't want to have 19 bets again. Also, that's 19 bets with no prop bets, no player prop bets. It's a little much. I think I was a little overconfident, but I'm so excited to get to come back here in week 4 and regroup. I will go over my action and Bebsie's action. Bebsie, not your best start to an NFL season, but I believe in you. We all believe in you. And I've watched you year after year beat NFL. I know this year will be no different. Bebsie coming off a 5-win, 7-loss, down 3.36 unit week, but he was 3-1 on sides and totals going into the Seahawks game. So I think that you are going to turn it around right here, right now. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat joining us. Thank you guys so much. Sammy Culmer in the house. He's on Seahawks +6, Cardinals +3, Bucks -6.5 is what he has bet so far. Nut Flush Allen ready to get to work. Damon Santori, Top Set, Benjamin, Viper NB. Gerald Jones says NFL Week 4. Let's go, boys. Let's do that. Let's get after it. There's Gerald Jones, Dennis Garcia, DX Filer, Steven Martinez, JT, Birdie. By the way, Birdie gave out 8-1 that went up to 11-1 winner on out in the UK horses during our show, cash during our show, just putting money in people's pockets. DX Filer, look at my guy Gamblestein, 17-6 up, 22 units so far. Unbelievable. Thank you guys all so much for joining us. We have a lot of work to do. Dennis Garcia says, currently 1-2 betting against the Bills every week. Still think I go 10-7. Houston +17.5 is already locked in, and that 17.5 is long gone. It's such a crucial point that you got it at. And I was just overthinking and waiting. It goes down to 15.5 so quickly. I love that you got the 17.5. Thank you for the kind words. Leonard Welch, we got Pocket Quarterback, Snook Slayer, Caveman Betts, Dave Crack, Dennis Trusty, Ick Schnizzle, Patrick B-Ball, all these great cappers. Let's get right to work right now. Thank you guys all for joining us. Review of my week 8 and 11, down 4.25 units, which leaves me at 29-19, hitting at 60.4% plus 7.7 units, ROI +16.04 AvLine-111. And this is a review. Panthers first half -4, a loss. Texans team total under 6.5, a win. And then went into Sunday, Bears +7 was terrible. And I knew it during the show. When it moved to 7.5. Just everything was pointing towards this was a mistake. Baltimore, Detroit over 49.5 happened to be a big mistake. Bengals +3.5, easy casher. Cincy, Pittsburgh over 43.5 was a loss. Who would have thought that with the Steelers playing from behind, they could put up no points? This is a new Steelers team, and who knows how far they'll sink. And I don't want to be too harsh right now. Cardinals, first half -4, a loser. Cardinals -7.5, full game casher. New York Jets, Denver under 41, a casher. All you guys who took the Jets team total under 14.5 like Bebsie, easy cashers for all you guys. And great work by our pros on the Sunday show, breaking everything. Dutch Boy Fresh was all over this Broncos game. He destroyed it in every which way. A 49ers -3 was a loser. Atlanta, New York Giants over 47.5, and the Seahawks -2 was loser there. And those were the two additions to Atlanta, New York Giants, and Seahawks -2 before the show. Colts +5 was a loser. Chargers +7 winner. Dolphins +3.5 winner. Rams -105 winner. Tampa Bay, LA Rams first half under 26.5. So easy. And it was just because I was down a little bit of money at that point. I wanted to reach. So I also took the full game under 55 And that just bothered me so much. Then I lost Philly, Dallas, 152 last night. So week 1, 13-5 plus 7.4 units. Week 2, 8-3 plus 4.5 units. And then I lost in week 3, 8-11, down 4.25 units. Bebsie, your week 3, you missed on Detroit, Baltimore over 49.5. Cash Bengals plus 3.5. Cash Broncos first half minus 6.5. Cash Jets team total under 14.5. Then lost a double dip on the Seahawks first half and full game. Edmonds was a loser, but he was so strong out of the backfield still. He went for 40-plus yards receiving. Your double up on Cleveland Browns keeps cashing for you. It just keeps cashing. Chubb over 72.5 cash. Hunt over 33.5 cash. TJ Hawkinson, a rough day. Tyreek Hill over 80.5 receiving yards. A second bad game in a row after catching for 197 yards in game 1. And Tyreek Hill TD minus 175. The most juice I've ever seen you put on a bet. And did not come through for you. Any last words on week 3, or should we just turn the page?
We turn the page on that. I don't know. I could talk about it, but then I'm just going to sound like that guy who talks about, there's a couple of things there that I was, what's your saying, late to the party, early for the funeral?
Yes.
Yeah. And so let's put it behind us. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's have some fun, Jimmy. You know what? I'll tell you this right now. The first few weeks, I kind of I didn't love everything coming into the show, and then I helped myself on the show. I've got looks tonight that I love pre-show, and that makes me feel a lot better going into tonight. So fuck all that.
I love hearing that. Let's get right to work, Bebsie. I've got a little bit of Kraken in my cup. I beat the shit out of this card hour after hour after hour after hour, and this is when it all comes together for me, when we get to work together. And Cap, and I did break my tradition, my rich history of not making any bets before the show started. I have made one bet. We will get to that game later. We start at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. Jacksonville Jaguars 0-3, 0-1 on the road at Cincinnati Bengals 2-1, 1-0 at home. We're at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. 70 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 4 miles per hour. Let's start with the market here. Move over to the cash. The Bengals open up as 7.5-point favorites. It was minus 105 for the Bengals at Pinnacle. It's now minus 102. So a 3-cent move towards the Jacksonville Jaguars. This total opened up at 45.5 at minus 106 to the under. It's now minus 118 to the over. And BetOnline and Pinnacle are the only books that haven't, of the main books that I look at, haven't moved it to 46. So let's move over to the cash flow in this spot. 8,360 tickets in. We have 76% of the tickets on the Bengals. 77% of the cash that's on the spread. It will always be on the spread. I won't talk money line unless I mention money line, but that's the spread, 76 to 77%. And then 67% of tickets on the over and 69% of cash on the over. And we see it moving towards the over. All right, let's get to work. Jacksonville comes in off their 18th straight loss, 31-19 setback at home to Arizona. They led 19-10 after Robinson's 4-yard touchdown run in the third quarter. Agnew returned that missed field goal, 109 yards on the final play. They had momentum, but Trevor Lawrence is not capable of keeping momentum at this point in his career. He will be at some point, but not yet. 22 of 34, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He added 27 yards on the ground from 6 carries. He also fumbled the ball twice, losing both. He has 9 turnovers in 3 games, on pace to throw 40 interceptions this season, and that would break the rookie record held by Peyton Manning with 28 picks set in 1998. Marvin Jones Jr. caught 6 passes for 62 yards. The Jags moved the ball on the ground well, with James Robinson as the RB1, which is what we talked about after week 1. He's got to be the guy. 15 carries for 88 yards, 1 touchdown. Then Carlos Hyde, 8 carries for 44 yards. Miles Jack was all over the field, 10 tackles. But the Jags got no pressure, and we'll keep going back to this. They can't get any pressure, and if they don't get pressure, they're going to lose every game. They need pressure. 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit on Murray. Lambeau missed 2 extra points, 5 misses in 3 weeks. Missed 2 field goals last week in Denver. Defensive end Robert Harris is listed as questionable. Trey Herndon, cornerback, expected to make his season debut this week. That will help. Offensive tackle Cam Robinson, and guard Andrew Norwell are banged up, listed as questionable. Bengals coming off an easy 24-10 win at Pittsburgh. It was their first win in Pittsburgh since 2015. It's all changed. Burrow, 14 of 18, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jamar Chase had another strong game. 4 catches, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. There's 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Joe Mixon was a monster, 18 rushes for 90 yards. The offensive line was excellent. And now, at this point, and maybe you can touch on this, Bebsie, I'm not sure if the offensive line is as good as it looks, or this Steelers defense, with all the injuries they have, are incapable of getting pressure. 0 sacks, and Burrow wasn't hit once. Last year's third-round pick, Logan Wilson, out of Wyoming, was a beast out there. 6'2", 240-pounder, all over the field, 14 tackles, 2 interceptions. They were able to get pressure all day. 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Their cornerback, Chidobe Awuzie, left in the second half with a groin injury. He's listed as questionable, as are cornerbacks Trey Waynes and Darius Phillips. So is safety Jesse Bates. That's a lot of issues with their secondary. Guard Xavier Suafilo and Riley Reif are also listed as questionable. There you go, Bebsie. Jags, Bengals. Bengals 7.5-point favorites. Total 46. Take it away.
Well, as you know, I hate Thursday night football. I said it 17 times last year. I'll say it 18 this year. I don't like it, but look, the Bengals are the home team. They're playing good football right now. The Jags are on the road on a short week. Yes, it looks like Urban Meyer finally figured out that the young James Robinson is better than his old buddy from Ohio State. So that's going to help them. But Trevor Lawrence, he's just 7 picks, did you say? 7, right? He had 3, then 2, then 2, or 2, then 3, then 2. Either way, it's 7 picks. Not a great start for Trevor Lawrence. His confidence has got to be rattled right now. And this is a coach that did not prepare this team for the season. It's almost like he came out, he's just like, I got this great plan. And then after week 1, he was like, oh, shit, I don't know what I'm doing. And now he's trying to play catch up. I just think the Bengals are in a better situation here. I think even with the points, even though this kind of feels like a trap game, I still think if you are going to lay money, you got to lay it with the Bengals right here because the Jags look awful. I mean, they've lost 18 in a row. They don't look like they're going to pick this up. I realize 7.5 points on a Thursday with a team like the Bengals that has that many injuries is going to be tough, but I don't know. I personally, if I was to bet, I'd have to take the Bengals here.
Well, I don't see why we don't take the Bengals here. I don't see that win over the Steelers as a season-defining win. I see this team with still a lot to prove. Do you think there's a chance that the Bengals come in here cocky and fat and lazy? I think they might be too young to do that. I think they want a showcase game where all eyes are on them. Johnny Case's letdown spot after that win off the Steelers. Is this a letdown spot? Are the Steelers the boogeyman that they were just too afraid of for years? Or is that just one step in their evolution? And are they going to now show everybody when all eyes are on them on Thursday night and just beat the shit out of these Jags?
I think it's partly a step in their evolution. I mean, we all have seen what Joe Burrow can do as long as they can protect him. To touch on what you said earlier, I think it's partly that this O-line is getting better. It's partly that the Steelers are so banged up. And I don't think this is a game that would go to their heads. Like, they're young, but they're still professionals, and they have to look across the other side of the field and realize that Pittsburgh's team is super depleted. Like, they started that game with a ton of injuries. They ended with a ton more. And right now, beating Ben Roethlisberger is nothing to be proud of. He looks every day of 39. He looks like a guy who's had the shit knocked out of him for years. He looks like a guy who's playing to spite Mason Rudolph for that draft pick. Like, the guy's done. He is done. He was done last year. I thought maybe after an offseason he'd be good for a little while and be ready to go, but he is abysmal. One of the best things about Big Ben in the prime of his career was to be able to sit there and take hits and then deliver a deep ball on the money. He can't do either of those things anymore. So you can't beat a team like that right now and get excited and get cocky. If you do, that's bad coaching, and that's just a sign of immaturity, which, yes, they're young, but they can't be stupid as well.
I agree. first off, Birdie as well as Slatsy last week jumped on the Broncos to win all 4 quarters. That cashed at plus 825. They're doing the same with the Bengals at plus 1050 plus 1050. I feel like usually maybe I'm just becoming my eyes are just, I'm dealing with a bias here after watching us cash the Bengals ticket, but I see them as having so much to prove. And now they get a chance on a Thursday night to destroy the Jags. I think they do just that. And I know this is a very, very public play, but I think they just, team total over. What is that team total over right now? I mean, I can understand having some concern over them, in a letdown spot, 27.5. 27.5. I am going to move on the Bengals. Dennis Garcia said, I said Cincinnati offensive line was a problem last week, but Pitt can't get pressure, and Jacksonville can't get pressure. Brady says, I'm not sure the Bengals head coach is good enough to keep this team grounded. Bengals have to be the look, but I can't bet that head coach and have to cover 7.5 points on a short week. Very, 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 very interesting. I'm going. So you're going to stay to your plan with staying off of Thursday Night Football?
That's the nice thing about staying off Thursday Night Football. There's no stress. I don't give a shit.
All right, and we have polls going on for each game. We have 58% of the cappers on Bengals minus 7.5, and it's. I expect that almost on every poll that we have for each game that the dog will have a higher percentage of picks in our poll than will in the marketplace. And maybe I'm just being a simpleton here, but I think the Bengals at home in front of their own crowd destroy the Jags. And maybe I'm just drinking too much of their soup, but soup tasted good on Sunday. I plan on going back to the fade the Jaguars train, and I know it hurt me in the first half with a loser, but Dennis makes a great point. Back-to-back games for these Jaguars getting a special teams touchdown, and they can't cover. I think Bengals wreck shop here. It's such a public play, I'm afraid to make it, but I plan on moving on the Bengals first half in full game. Okay, let's move on. No move for Bebsie. We head to Sunday, October 3rd, 1 p.m. Eastern. Washington football team 1-2, 0-1 on the road at Atlanta Falcons, 1-2, 0-1 at home. We're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. We start with the market in this spot. Sorry, I'm still on first half. The first half is at 4, by the way. Washington, Atlanta. Here we go. Waiting for the thing to load here. While it's loading, let's talk about Washington first. They're coming off an ugly 43-21 loss at Buffalo. It's hard to believe that this is last year's number 2 defense in the NFL. Are you really not going to load for me when I need you so badly, son of a bitch? Okay, here they come. All right. We have Jesus, sorry about this. Got so many things open here. In this Atlanta Washington spot, we have Washington opening up as 1-point dogs. They become 1.5-point favorites. So we've had a complete flip. This total opened up at 49. It's now down to 48 at Pinnacle. There are some 48.5s on the board. When we get to the cash flow, 4,552 tickets in. We have 58% of the tickets on Washington on the spread and 83% of the cash and the flip. Then we have 54% of the tickets, 77% of the cash on the over, and yet the market moving towards the under. Heineke, 14-24 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He did not look very good. Scary Terry caught 4 passes for 62 yards. They weren't able to move the ball on the ground. 78 yards on 25 carries. Antonio Gibson ran 12 times for just 31 yards. He also had 1 reception for 73 yards that he took to the house. It was a big play. But that vaunted front seven, Bebsie, 0 sacks. Defensive tackle Matt Ioannidis did not play after a knee injury against the Giants. The Falcons coming off their first win of the season, 17-14 triumph on the road over the Giants. Matt Ryan, 27 of 36 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Cordero Patterson, 6 catches for 82 yards. Calvin Ridley, 8 for 61. Mike Davis ran 12 times for 50 yards, caught 4 passes for 20. A.J. Terrell missed the game due to a concussion, but the secondary played well. 8 passes deflected. Terrell still in concussion protocol. Oluokun set 14 tackles. He was all over the field. Deion Jones added 13. They had 2 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, 5 quarterback hits. Defensive lineman Marlon Davison sustained an ankle injury late in the first half, did not return. He's listed as questionable to go this week. Do you agree with this market move towards the road Washington football team, Bebsie?
I think if I had to lay a bet here, it would be with Washington, just because I still believe top to bottom they're a better football team. This is a stay-away game for me, just because I think both these teams at 1 and 2 are a bit unpredictable. I mean, Washington's strength was supposed to be their front 7. They haven't shown that this year. Atlanta's strength was supposed to be their offense, or what's left of their offense, and I haven't been overly impressed with that either. So this, I don't know, it feels like a no-brainer that Washington should roll in this game, but it's not. And as much as you hate betting on the Falcons or betting any Falcons game, I'm the same way. I don't want to touch this. But I do believe Washington football team wins this game. And as I'm saying that, you know how many calls I've made that I haven't bet, being like, I should do this, or this is what I think, and they hit, and what I put money on hasn't. So maybe I should, but I'm still not going to.
This is a really tricky spot, and I do not want to go up against this big market move. Is the Falcons secondary much improved, or is the Giants offense trash?
Can it be both?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, to be completely honest with you. I wish I could give you a strong, definitive response to that, but I'm gonna waffle. I'm gonna waffle like the coward that I am.
Nick Martin, my units are $200, so we're not talking about a lot of money at all, and they haven't gone up. In my NFL units and NHL units are my highest units, and they haven't gone up in 2.5 years, which is a bad sign. This is a tough spot that I don't feel comfortable with. So we've seen this market move towards the Washington football team. I respect it. And I don't want anything at this point to do with this game. So I'm sorry.
That is asking, do we have to start looking at taking the Cordero Patterson total yards props moving forward? It might not be a bad look.
It's a great idea. I mean, we thought he was just going to be a backup and special teamer, but.
Well, and he's also somebody who's, I think, by the books, still going to be pretty undervalued going forward. So it's Burgundy. That's not a bad look at all.
Well, I tell you what, I'm trying so hard not to bet any props. And this past week, I had it written down. I came so close to moving on to Daniel Jones over rushing, which would have cashed, but the TJ Hawkinson receiving, which would have lost. So I would have lost the juice. So I'd like just to stay away, completely stay away. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Houston Texans, 1-2, 0-1 on the road at Buffalo Bills, 2-1, 1-1 at home. We already had Dennis Garcia saying he is 2-1 fading Buffalo Bills every week, and he plans on doing it again here. He got the 17.5, which is gone. Those of you who had interest in backing the Texans at this giant number no longer have that opportunity. Pinnacle has moved it to 15.5. Wow, why would BetOnline still be holding on to a 17? That's interesting. I'm surprised that BetOnline has not switched that. But Pinnacle has moved it to 15.5, and it was a 2-point move that Pinnacle had. Brady said, I bet Houston plus 16.5, and that's all. I have to say. Oh, and Dennis Garcia is 1-2. Excuse me, I said 2-1, 1-2. We have 63 Fahrenheit, a chance of showers. 8 mile per hour is the wind at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. So 17.5 moved to 15.5 or 16. We have this total opening up at 48. Pinnacle still holding it at 48. The other books have 47.5 and 47. All right. Oh, let's take a look at the cash here in this spot. This will be telling. We have 5,586 tickets in. 52% of the tickets on the Bills, 57% of the cash. Market moving towards the Texans. Then we have 56% of tickets on the over and 82% of cash on the over, which is interesting. Texans come in on extra rest and preparations. So we've seen how big of a deal that is even early in the season, and it becomes more of even a bigger deal as we get later in the season. And the other team on extra rest and preparations is the Carolina Panthers, and I bet them today at +5 at the Cowboys. This Texans team, we're down just 7-6 at the half. Davis Mills was decent. First career start, 19 of 28, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Brandon Cooks, 9 passes for 112 yards, but the rest of the team managed just 56 yards receiving. They were incapable of moving the ball on the ground, ran 17 times for 42 yards, and it was repeated over and over and over again at the presser. How important it is to move the ball on the ground, how they need to move the ball on the ground. They said it over and over and over again. Their defense kept them in the game. Zach Cunningham, 14 tackles. Christian Kirksey, 10 of his own. They got 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits on Sam Darnold. Safety A.J. Moore was put on IR after the game. Danny Amendola expected to miss at least another week with a hamstring injury. Safety Justin Reed, cornerback Terrence Mitchell, and linebacker Camu Grugier-Hill are all listed as questionable. Bills come in off a big 43-21 win at home over Washington. Josh Allen, 32 of 43, 358 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Allen's 5th career game of 4 TDs. Passing and 300 yards passing. That's 1 more than Jim Kelly already. Cole Beasley, 11 catches for 98 yards. Emmanuel Sanders, 5 for 94 and 2 TDs. Stephon Diggs, 6 catches for 62 yards. Zach Moss had a good game, 13 carries for 60 yards. Safety Jordan Poyer left Sunday's win with an ankle injury. He's day-to-day. And Obada, their defensive end, and defensive tackle Harrison Phillips missed their 2nd straight games. But this is a dangerous, healthy group. I wish I could have taken the +17.5, and I don't know why I'm not trusting myself more on Monday to attack this card and waiting just to break it all down with you. I guess I just feel more comfortable that way. But Bebsie, take it away here. Houston now at 15.5 or 16.5, depending on where you shop, and this total at 47.
Look, Dennis Garcia and I have agreed a lot so far this year. I don't know if I agree with his play to fade them all year. I think Buffalo's an extraordinarily talented team right now, and I think that Week 1 loss has them pissed off. I think McDermott has this team fired up. I think they're going to roll. Now, I love that Dennis got the 17.5. I hate that it's not there anymore. Because if I were to fade Buffalo, that's where I do it. Now, I don't think you can. I think you either bet on them or leave them. Even though that's a ton of points, I still just think that Buffalo defensive front is going to get up in the face of Davis Mills. And it's going to be a tough spot, even with the extra rest. I just don't see them being able to stack up against this Buffalo Bills team. They're too talented. I think the biggest thing you worry about right now betting Buffalo is a backdoor cover. I think they could blow out this team so early, at home, fired up, ready to go, know that they should win this game. I think they could come out firing, and they could take their foot off the gas, and this game could wind up getting an ugly backdoor cover. But for me, I don't know. It'd be tough to bet against the Bills. 17.5, a little bit easier. But right now, looking at it, I think Buffalo just rides in this one.
I mean, certainly the Texans are no bet for me. Burgundy Bet says I'm not comfortable even putting this team in a 6-point teaser. Yeah. Dennis Garcia said I made this game 15, the type of game where if they give me 14, I'll take Buffalo, 17, I'll take Houston. Birdie says, I fully expect to lose this bet. But 16.5 with a semi-capable defense is a must bet. Caveman Bet says, I hate betting on lines this big, but the Bills' defense looks to be a top 5 unit. White should get the best of Cooks. After Cooks, who do the Texans have? Nobody. Well, nobody last week. There's Sonny Vega joining us. Another.
But doesn't it also too? It feels like Brandon Cooks comes out the gate every year like this, and you're thinking, oof, like this is just going to be an absolute crazy year from Brandon Cooks, and then he comes back down to earth. Is this now week 4? Does it happen now? Maybe, especially if he's lining up against Trey White all day. That's a tough matchup.
I did not have the balls, in all honesty, at 17.5. I like to know that the market is moving in a certain direction, but as soon as it moves fast, man.
What's the first half on it? I keep trying to load the numbers, and for whatever reason, it's stalling for me.
The first half in this Texans Bills spot is -10. Bills are 10-point first half favorites.
See, I'd be more inclined to take that bet.
Well, I am not moving on it at this point. Viper says the total's gone under in 5 of Houston's last 6 games when playing Buffalo. Bebsie, do you want to make a move on it?
I'm not going to make a move on this. This isn't one of the ones I was excited about.
Not Fletch Allen says Bills win every quarter. Give me the odds on that. Should be available right here, right? That would be to lead after every quarter, score every quarter. Okay, I'll pull that up here in a second, unless they will beat me to it. Okay, let's move on to the next spot. That is Detroit Lions at Chicago Bears. Detroit Lions 0-3, 0-1 on the road at Chicago Bears 1-2, 1-0 at home. Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois, 68 Fahrenheit. Chance of showers, 8 miles per hour is the wind. We have the Bears opening up as 3.5-point favorites. That's moved to 3. This total opened up at 44. There's now 42.5s and 42s on the board. Let's move over to the cash. 6,481 tickets in. 78% of the tickets and 94% of the cash are on the Detroit Lions. Wow, that's on the spread. But wow. 70% of the tickets on the over, 97% of the cash on the over, and yet it's dropped a point or so. Lions come in off a 19-17 heartbreaking home loss that saw Justin Tucker hit an NFL record 66-yard field goal. And yes, the clock had hit 0. It was probably a penalty, but these things happen. Don't leave it to a final play like that. Jared Goff, 22 of 30 for 217 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Khalif Raymond was his main target, 6 catches for 68 yards. Ravens made a point of shutting down TJ Hawkinson, 2 catches for 10 yards. DeAndre Swift was questionable going in, and he looked very good. Ran 14 times for 47 yards, caught 7 passes for 60 yards. They sacked Lamar Jackson 4 times, hit him 6 times. That's not easy. Dan Campbell was very upset after the game because the play clock was at 0 and whatever. Goff said this after the game, and I like this. There's a few quotes that I pulled out for today's show, and I like Goff's. He said, I know this city and franchise have gone through a lot of gut punches in the last few years, but I'm telling you, we will remain true and remain resilient, and the gut punches will stop. And I like that very, very much. Linebacker Trey Flowers' shoulder knee was inactive. Jamie Collins, they couldn't trade him. They tried to trade him. If the league knows that a player doesn't want to play for you anymore and you're trying to trade him, they're not going to give you anything for that, man. So he stopped reporting to practice last week. He has a fully guaranteed $8.8 million from Detroit this year. 10 tackles and a tackle for a loss in the fumble recovery, back-to-back losses. But then Campbell said to the I don't know why you would say this to the press, and I think it's a coaching mistake. You keep this shit in your head. Don't let this guy know, because this is what he's going to do. He's already got $8.8 million from you. Think he gives a fuck? So he said it was time for a reduced role for Collins to the press. I'm going to play younger players on the roster, and he doesn't show up. This is another week where the secondary, after losing Okudah and Melifonwu, won't get tested too much by Fields. So the secondary is weak, but Fields can't. What can Fields do? And will Fields even start? Or will it be the Red Rocket? Bears coming off an ugly 26-6 loss at Cleveland. Fields got nothing going. 6 for 20 for 68 yards. Allen Robinson led the Bears with 6 catches for 27 yards. They ended up with just 47 total yards on 42 plays. They had 1 net yard passing. 6 first downs. 2 of them came on penalties. Fields was sacked 9 times for 64 yards. Hit 15 times. 6 by Garrett, 5 by Clowney. Montgomery ran 10 times for 34 yards, caught 2 passes for 21 yards. They did get 5 sacks that included 2 from Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack sprained his foot, and he went to the locker room. He came back out, which I respect very much, in a game that they were going to lose. Fields hurt his hand during the game. The x-rays came back negative. Dalton is still questionable. Defensive tackle Eddie Goldman and safety Deshaun Gibson are listed as questionable. Here we go. I find this game riveting. Lions-Bears, Bebsie, take it away.
If you would have asked me before the season who was going to win this matchup, I would have laughed and said, well, obviously the Bears. After what I've seen so far from both teams, I'm going with Detroit and the points here. A crushing loss last week, a crushing loss. And I disagree. They did call the timeout, but the clock kept running. It wasn't that they let it down. It was they called the timeout, and for whatever reason, the clock judge stopped running it. That's why there was no protest from Detroit on it. But
okay.
I didn't know that Goff said that after the game. It actually makes me kind of like Jared Goff, who I, until just now, thought he was a complete dink. But the reason I want Detroit in this is because that team's been fighting. That team's been fighting tooth and nail in every game so far. Yeah, they've had some injuries. Every team has. But the reason I don't want this Bears team is because of Matt Nagy. Adam Gase is gone. Matt Nagy is now the worst coach in the NFL. He is an absolute jackass. If anybody knows him, let him know that Bebsie thinks he's a fucking twat. How do you fail Justin Fields this bad? How do you not have any plays designed for his skill set? How do you trade up for a first-round quarterback with the talent and the skill set that Justin Fields has and just hang him out to dry? What is this, a learning experience for him? Matt Nagy is a fucking idiot, and it's time to fade Matt Nagy. I am moving on this. Detroit +3 is my first move this week.
I think that we are going to end up going head-to-head in this game. I think I'm going to take advantage of what everybody saw last week. And supposedly it's already moved to 2.5 at Pinnacle. Sorry, let me just move back over there. Could it have moved already to 2.5? Supposedly, yeah, because it was at 3 plus 105. I get what you're saying about Nagy, but from a talent basis.
Doesn't matter. You could give him the all-pro team and he'd lose games. He's a fucking idiot. Literally, give him the best 22 players in the NFL. I bet he loses. I bet he loses to the Jags. He's a goddamn moron.
I am going to give you the line now because clearly money. What was this again? Let's just look at these tickets again. 71% on the money line, 71-84 on the spread. 78% of tickets on the lines, 94%. I really think that this is a spot where people are taking too much into what happened last week, and we knew the Ravens were in a terrible spot after a season-defining win.
Great comment from DX Father. I'm sorry, Matt Nagy. I didn't mean those.
Nice things for you, Bebsie. Okay, let's line shop for you right now, Bebsie. Going to be on the Detroit Lions, and I will be going head-to-head with you. I'm going to wait. I'm going to be very patient here and watch this line go down, but I think it's going to go down too far. Come on, I need you now to work for me. This computer's got too many things open. Okay, here we go, Bebsie. We have at +3 the least amount of juice. Wow, and Heritage has moved to 2.5. The least amount of juice I can get you is -115 at Pinnacle. I've been told that it's moved to 2.5 at Pinnacle. I don't have that. You know what? Just to ensure this is not a stale line, let me pull up Pinnacle here. Can you, while I pull up Pinnacle Sports, I just don't want to give you a stale line. It's like a pet peeve in the industry and I don't want to be a part of that. So I'd rather give you the 5 cent more juice. I'm pulling up Pinnacle right now. Pinnacle, and let's go to NFL. Oh my God, why is this gonna do this to me? Pinnacle Sunday. Son of a bitch. Okay. I can't. What the hell? Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. We have. Yes. I can give you the -3 +3 at -115. It's still there at Pinnacle. Okay. So Bebsie's on the board. Bebsie is on the Lions +3 at -115. And I am going to be on the other side of you. Not yet. I'm going to wait for more money to come in. And I really think this is an overreaction of what everybody saw last week.
Why don't you just do it then, Jimmy? Why don't you just fucking go head-to-head? Scared of a little action against old Bebsie?
Not at all.
But
I want a better line. And I want everybody to bet the Lions here.
Okay.
Caveman Bet says this is an under game, Bebsie, an under game. This total that opened, and all the money's coming on the over. So it's interesting that the money's coming down, that the total is going down. But it opened at 44. It's now at 42.5 or 42. What do you think of this total?
If I had to bet on it, I would side with Caveman here. I agree. I think this is going to be a dogfight. Again, I don't see either team being able to put up a ton of points. One side it's Matt Nagy's fault. The other side's a lack of talent. The other side, you got Swift and Hawkinson, and it gets pretty thin after that. So, yeah, I can't see myself taking the over. I would take the under if I have to, but I'm already head-to-head with Jimmy in this one. So what am I going to go crazy and bet more? Stress out through this whole game? Stress out for a Lions and Bears game? That's not going to happen.
B-Ball says, I think by kickoff the spread will move down to 1.5. Then I'll trigger the Bears money line. You know what? Birdie's I think going to be right on this. He says, I don't think this will get below 3 by kickoff because Sharps will middle this game all week. And I think he's absolutely right. Sharps are going to middle this game all week. So, but not yet. And I want at least a 2.5, so I'll be watching this line very closely. Bebsie on the Lions +3 at -115. He's on the board. I will be on the Chicago Bears. We move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Carolina Panthers at Dallas Cowboys. This is the only move I have made. The Carolina Panthers +5. Is it because I love Sherwood Park, Alberta native Chuba Hubbard? Is that part of this? Yeah, it's part of this. It's mostly about extra rest and preparations. The Cowboys feeling so goddamn good about themselves, and I want to attack this situation. I don't love the bet. I really don't. But I felt like I had to bet it. I felt that there was too much value in a spot where the Cowboys are coming off this 41-21 love fest, this ass slap fest where they're the greatest. And now they're on short rest and short preparation against a team on extra rest and extra preparation. Let's take a look at this market. It was moving when I bet it. It hadn't moved to bet 365. It may not have yet. It was still at 5. Let's see what it is right now in this Panthers game. Still get the same line I got, the +5 at -115. Heritage has moved it to 4. Pinnacle has moved it. Pinnacle actually opened it at 4.5. So then at 10:54 last night after the game, it moved to 5. But Carolina at 5 was at -102. They're now -114. So I do expect 4.5s to be on the board here shortly. And from a total side of things, we have it opening up at 50, now sitting at 50.5. Darnold, 23 of 34. So I keep smiling when I say Darnold because Slatsy's right. I have been acting as if he played on the French Connection line with the Sabres, calling him Darnold. I don't know why that is.
It's just Arnold with a D.
Yes, yeah, Darnold. There you go, right there. He also ran for 2 touchdowns. He did lose 2 fumbles. Look, he still got butterfingers. He was fortunate that the Panthers recovered both of them. McCaffrey stuff for the hamstring injury, and in comes Sherwood Park, Alberta's own Chuba Hubbard. 11 carries for 52 yards, 3 catches for 27 yards. DJ Moore continued to shine, catching 8 passes for 126 yards. Where's Robbie Anderson? What's going on there? The defense continued its strong play. 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. They held the Texans to just 193 total yards. The Panthers secondary is dealing with injuries, and it's a problem. Cornerback J.C. Horn injured his foot during the game. He's been placed on injured reserve. They also placed safety Justin Burris on injured reserve with a groin injury, and cornerback C.J. Henderson is listed as questionable. Defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos is doubtful. Cowboys, short rest, short preparation after the 41-21 demolishing of the Philadelphia Eagles. 19-1 edge in first downs late in the first half. Prescott was in complete control, 21-26 for 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did fumble twice. One of them was scooped up, or didn't even hit the ground, but one of them was grabbed for a touchdown for the Eagles. Dalton Schultz was the main weapon, surprisingly. 6 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zeke looked like old Zeke for the first time in a long time. 17 carries, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 60 yards. Secondary looked very good. 2 picks, 9 passes deflected. Trayvon Diggs ran an interception back to the house. First Dallas player with a pick in each of the first 3 games since Everson Walls in 1985. This is a healthy group that's rolling. I'm going to bet against them. Bebsie, Panthers, Cowboys, take it away.
Jimmy, I like your look. I wish I could tell you. I cannot. For the simple reason Dallas is playing better than I expected them to right now. They are healthy, which is something I cannot say about Carolina. Carolina has played well, but I know it's a rookie. He's only played a couple of games, but losing J.C. Horn hurts. That hurts a lot. He's been a big lift to this team already. He looks every bit the part. He's got swagger just like his old man Joe Horn. I hate that injury. I hope he can come back 100%. But this Dallas Cowboys team is playing right now. They're playing well. Zeke finally looked decent. I wouldn't get used to it. I don't think he's back just because he's played one game like that. I still don't have any faith in McCarthy as a coach. I still think he's an absolute dolt. That's why I can't lay money with the Cowboys. Plus, I hate the Cowboys. Sorry if you're a fan of them boys, but I can't take this here with the recent injuries to Carolina. And I agree with something up with Robbie Anderson. I don't know why. He's had a previously great relationship with Sam Darnold, so I don't know why that connection's not happening. Maybe it will. Maybe he busts out this week. But also, obviously, the Christian McCaffrey injury hurts a lot as well. So tough spot for the Carolina Panthers. I admire your courage here, but I can't do it.
I can do it. And all year, I'm going to bet against what everybody saw the week before. And if I did it more often, I'd be rich. And I've made a point of doing that this year in NFL, in a sport where we know the public gets their asses kicked. And the books are beautiful because of how the public believes everything they saw the week before. And they bring in C.J. Henderson from the Jags. So the first-round pick last year, the Birdie says is a wash. Bebsie, one of the things here that Turnsey is saying, something that you took advantage of heavily last year. In fact, I thought about this when I was writing the notes in this game. I thought, I see Bebsie cashing in these double-up running back props. When is that going to turn to the Cowboys and Pollard? But Turnsey says, how long do they gift wrap the Pollard prop, Bebsie?
Well, that's why I didn't touch it this week. To be honest with you, I was going to jump all over that again. I've been waiting to move on Pollard props, and then he had a huge game, so his numbers was up. And this is what I was talking about earlier, which is Jimmy's favorite thing to say: late for the party, early for the funeral. That's why I stepped away from it. But after Zeke has a big game like he did this week, I think you could see that Pollard prop drop. And so, yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to have a look at come the weekend and see if that's a live move for me.
This could easily blow up in my face. Easily blow up in my face. But I'll tell you, to me, this is the perfect storm. You have the Cowboys dominating on a Monday night in front of everybody. Now they're on short rest and prep after dominating, and you're getting 5 points. I think this is a perfect storm for the Carolina Panthers to cover.
Jimmy, if I were to bet this game, which I am not,
yes,
but if I were to bet, I would be on your side on this. I do like your look, and I appreciate your logic. For me, the big hang-up are the injuries to Horn and McCaffrey, which is your best player on offense and one of your better players on defense. I think their best defensive player is Burns, but
JT says Pollard hit his yards over in the first quarter. And again, this doesn't surprise me because I don't consider the chat the public at all. I never have. So,
no.
And I said that during the beginning.
This chat is too damn sharp for that.
Oh, yeah. And so I said at the beginning that I expect every game where the public's on one side, this chat will be on the other. And here's no difference. We had 35 votes in Panthers Cowboys, and the Panthers +5 got 62% of the votes. Patrick says, I don't see it. Panthers secondary beat up, Dak going wild. Exactly, Patrick. Everybody's seeing it the way you are seeing. Not everybody. A large portion of the public are seeing it the way you are seeing it. And you have every right to see it.
But the strength of the Cowboys is that a passing game.
Yeah. Look,
it's a tough spot, Jimmy. I like it, and I appreciate your breakdown. You're not wrong. It is the perfect storm, and I can't wait to talk about this game next Tuesday. I can't wait.
Yes,
win or lose.
Look, the Cowboys could win by 21 points, and I could look like an asshole. This is the only game I had the confidence of betting before I came onto the show. That's how much I like it. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board, 1 p.m. Eastern. Indianapolis Colts 0-3, 0-1 on the road. Miami Dolphins 1-2, 0-1 at home. We're at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. 83 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. 15 miles per hour is the wind. I talk about a book often, The Undoing Project by Michael Lewis, and it's affecting me. Clearly, I have a vividness bias of the Indianapolis Colts, and it's hurting me. It's hurting me so far this year. I have a vividness bias of Darius Leonard, but I remember Darius Leonard, making second-round draft, but he got the signing bonus, but making, $800,000, not the highest-paid defensive player in the league. Darius Leonard was a disappointment last week, and I think he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but Miami opening up as 1.5-point favorites. That's where they stand right now. This total at 43.5 is still sitting at 43.5, but other books have gone to 43. Viper says the total's gone under in 4 of Miami's last 5 games when playing Indianapolis. Gerald Jones says Miami spot fading Colts every week. Just saying this stuff out loud, I felt like I had to say the Undoing Project. I had to say that out loud because I think, again, we're going to get an overreaction of what we saw from the Dolphins last week, and the Colts are probably the play here. And, God, it just scares me to say that. Let's move over to where the cash lies here. Oh, God, it scares me. It pains me to say that. 4,099 tickets in. 57% of the tickets, 58 just moved. 58% of the tickets on the spread on the Dolphins, 63% of the cash on the Dolphins. That's all spread. It will always be spread, so I don't want to keep saying that. 39% of the tickets on the over, 56% of the cash on the over. Colts come in off, and Birdie says Dolphins for me. I've said now for 2 weeks, you fade the team that played Henry the week before. Getting smashed by that truck, then having to travel to Miami is the play. Love it. Wow. My man R from Regent Park says 45 too high under, and Dennis Garcia says I took over 43.5. Dennis Garcia says Miami is a luck box. Oh, by the way, Bebsie, I don't know if you looked at the comments from our Raiders-Dolphins game, but we just got shat on by everybody before the game. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Raiders are going to win by 10. You haven't been watching these games. You're just reading out stats. You're a 49ers fan. You shouldn't talk about the Raiders. Mark my words, Raiders win by 10 was what everybody said. Over 45, 50 comments shitting on us. But they were all fucking wrong. Colts coming off a 25-16 loss to Tennessee. They somehow lost while winning the turnover battle 3-0. And this brings back what Dennis Garcia was saying about the Jags. Jags get 2 special team touchdowns and can't cover. The Colts can't cover when winning the turnover battle 3-0. Oh, wobbly ankles. Wentz, 19-37, 194 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Does us the great pleasure of not running once. Michael Pittman caught 6 passes for 68 yards. Nyheim Hines caught 5 passes for 54 yards, ran 6 times for 25 yards. Jonathan Taylor ran 10 times for 64 yards. Julian Blackmon was a beast, 11 tackles. He looked good. Kwity Paye ruled out, injured hamstring. All-Pro. Actually, I shouldn't say he's ruled out yet. I don't have that confirmed, but I don't know if he'll be in the line. I don't think he will be. All-Pro left guard Quentin. Say what, Bebsie?
Let's say doubtful.
Doubtful. All-Pro left guard Quentin Nelson hurt his right ankle early in second quarter. Carted to the locker room, didn't return. Replaced by Chris Weed. Kari Willis, their cornerback, cramps in the fourth quarter. But Reich said it was a groin injury, so we don't know what's going on there. And cornerback Rock Yassin hurt his ankle. Now, after talking this all out, hearing Birdie on the other side, now maybe I'm coming back. And Dolphins coming in off a 31-28 loss at Las Vegas. Brissett, 32 of 49, 215 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. He also ran 7 times for 37 yards. The chat was adamant last week that Brissett was as good, if not better, than Tua. And the whole chat was on the Dolphins. And you guys we all cashed. Jaceki, 10 catches for 86 yards. Waddle had 12 catches, but 58 yards. That's like 4.8 yards a catch. Myles Gaskin led the running backs with 13 carries for 65 yards. They were able to get pressure. They had 3 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. Landon Roberts, 85 yards for a pick 6. They have an NFL best streak of 25 games for the takeaway for the Dolphins. Yes, Tua is on the injury reserve, but other than that, this is a very healthy group. You know what? It's a very healthy group coming home. I've got to get away from the Colts. I'm not on this whole Mack truck thing that Birdie's on, and I'd like you to touch on that. Maybe I'm wrong there. But I just think this is a hurt, broken team that can't cover when they win the turnover battle 3-0. Now they go into Miami, who's feeling good about themselves. Maybe I should completely switch over to the Dolphins after hearing Birdie and talking this out loud. Let's just take a look at the poll. I know the poll is early, but 36 votes, 61% on the Dolphins minus 1.5 right now. There's Connor Mack and Dutch Boy Fresh in the house. You guys were awesome on Sunday's show. Thank you guys for joining us. Bebsie, take it away. Here we go, Colts Dolphins.
Listen, Jimmy, if this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will, but I am lockstep with Birdie on this one. I completely agree. Miami, look, they played well against a very good team. I agree. Brissett is not much worse than Tua. Tua's skill set is incredible. I think that's what excites everybody, is what he's capable of. But he doesn't show it. He doesn't show it. He did in Alabama. It's a little different in the NFL. Also, I said this when they drafted him. You don't take a quarterback who's had that many injuries in college that early. But they did. But Brissett can play. He's going up against his old team that's banged up, that isn't playing well. And yeah, a lot of people might be like, oh, well, this could be a get-right spot for Indianapolis. I don't think so. I think Miami has a tough loss last week that they battled for, and I think they even it up at 2-2 this week, and the Colts drop to 0-4, and 1.5 is just a lovely, lovely number to take.
Yeah. Dennis Garcia. Okay, answer this, Bebsie.
Okay.
Dennis says Miami got a pick 6, stopped Vegas at their own 34, setting up a short field, went up 14-0, and then got destroyed.
Okay. Where's the question?
Do you trust what you saw from the Dolphins cover last week?
The Dolphins, they're facing a much better team last week than they are this week. Okay, I'll answer your question with a question. What about Indianapolis inspires you right now to back them up after the first 3 weeks?
Just Frank Reich.
Just Frank Reich. Well, Frank's having a fucking rough go of it right now. I'm not shitting on Frank. I like Frank. Seems like a real nice guy. I would hang out and drink beers with Frank. Fuck Matt Nagy, but Frank, I'll party with Frank. Okay, but I just don't see it here, especially if Quentin Nelson can't go. That just adds to the woes of this line that was torn apart this summer. And you got old wobble ankles Wentz back there who, look, if he can't get right on this team, his career is pretty well over. Just too many injuries, too much uninspired play. Miami's not a bad football team. They're 1-2. They're a better football team than that. Indianapolis, I'm not so sure. A year ago, they were a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. They're farther away from that now.
I agree. Okay, well, let's lock you in here. The best line we can give you is at Bet365. And Bodog too. I say that maybe once or twice a year that Bet365 will give you the best line on something. It's so because I have to use this book that I almost feel like I need to double check because these sons of bitches are such fucking dicks and know how to make money. They have Miami -1.5, -110, and Miami is -1.5, -110. You want the Dolphins -1.5 and 110?
That's what I want.
56% of the chat is on. Jose, do we have a record of these polls after they are up? Love to know if you could answer me that.
I don't think so. No, I think they just go through the live chat.
I would like to see if we could grab them because I'd be very interested to see how the chat does on a given day. And now we can see it. I'd be very interested. They show up on the playback, so maybe I'll grab them and see. I'd be very interested here. All right, Bebsie is moving on the fish. -1.5 and -110. And I tell you, with the health of this group going up against this beat-up Colts squad, it makes a ton of sense. I'm going to need a little bit more time, but I will put asterisks beside your look and maybe jump in. Okay, we move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Browns 2-1, 0-1 on the road. Minnesota Vikings 1-2, 1-0 at home. My only futures are on the Cleveland Browns for AFC and Super Bowl. AFC and Super Bowl. I got them to win the division. I got the win total over, and I made a couple other bets, but only AFC and Super Bowl. And I really like what I'm seeing from this squad. We're at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and damn, did Kirk Cousins look good. Kirk Cousins looked so good. Not only that, but the things that they're saying about Kirk Cousins, how locked in he is right now, I don't it's been a lifetime since I've saw him quite this locked in and actually believe that it could continue in the future. Browns, Vikings. Let's take a look at the market here right now. We have the Browns opening up at -1. They're now -2. This total opened up at 52.5, and it's dropping down to 51.5. Bebsie comes off cashing the double up running back props on Hunt and Chubb. Let's see where the cash lies in this spot. We have 5,699 tickets in, 71% of the tickets, 90% of the cash on the Browns. Ooh-wee. 54% of the tickets on the over, 72% of cash on the over, and it is dropped a full point at Pinnacle. Interesting. Browns coming off a dominant 26-6 home win over the Bears. Baker, 19-31, 246 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. ODB returned to the Browns, caught 5 passes for 77 yards, and said all the right things afterwards. Kareem Hunt ran 10 times for 81 yards and a touchdown, also caught 6 passes for 74 yards. Nick Chubb ran 22 times for 84 yards, but it was all defense that did the damage. Garrett, and I shouldn't say that. I guess, running the ball down their throat and keeping the defense fresh is very helpful. But Myles Garrett, 7 tackles, franchise record 4.5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. As a team, they got 15 quarterback hits on Justin Fields. They held him to just 1 net passing yard. They destroyed this team. They out-yarded them 418-47. Now, Greg Newsome, calf injury, will undergo an MRI. He was supposed to undergo that yesterday, but I couldn't find out what's going on with him. He had a pass breakup and 3 tackles before leaving. Offensive tackle Chris Hubbard and linebacker Sione Takataki are listed as questionable. Vikings come in off a big 30-17 home win over the Seahawks. They beat Seattle for the first time with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson as the quarterback. Impressive. Kirk Cousins, 30 of 38 for 323 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Justin Jefferson, 9 catches for 118 yards, 1 touchdown. Tyler Conklin, 7 catches for 70 yards and 1 touchdown. And with Dalvin Cook out of the lineup, Alexander Madison was excellent. 26 carries, 112 yards, caught 6 passes for 59 yards. Eric Kendricks was all over the field, 11 tackles, 1 sack. Anthony Barr inactive for the 3rd straight game. He's not played in more than a year. So who knows what you're going to get when he comes back, but we know what he's capable of. Here we go, Bebsie. I'm excited about hearing your breakdown. Browns, Vikings, take it away.
This is another one of those games I was talking about before we got rolling tonight. I'm very excited about, and I'm on the Browns. I talked me out of it, chat, but I think I'm on the Browns first half and full game. Reason being, a couple of reasons. One, I just think top to bottom, vastly superior team. Tough loss in week 1 against the Chiefs. Other than that, the Browns are a 3-0 football team right now. This is a very, very well-balanced football team. And look, I heaped praise on Kirk Cousins last week. I got made fun of for heaping praise on Kirk Cousins last week. I still like Kirk Cousins. But really what this boils down to for me is Kevin Stefanski going against his old team, going against Zimmer, who, he's not even close to the best coach in the league. That crown has been passed from Gase to Nagy. But I fully trust Kevin Stefanski to go and attack his old team and just take apart. This is a 1-2 punch running game. I don't know the story on Dalvin Cook right now. I'm not sure if that makes a big difference, to be honest with you. I just think Cleveland, better team, top to bottom. Yes, their defense was rested because of how well they were running the ball. I don't think it's going to be that much different this week. Yeah, of course, I think the Vikings have better linebackers. Well, I don't know. Roquan Smith's pretty good. I still think this is just a well-balanced offense for Cleveland and a very, very good defense that patched some of the holes up in the offseason. I'm riding high on the Browns right now.
No, I love hearing that, and I sometimes, and this really hurts me in NHL late in the year, I'm getting lackadaisical because I have the futures on them, and I don't want to compound any kind of losses here. I think that's my fear. I also think that Vikings are a good football team. They're a better football team than I expected them to be this year, and I'm hesitant. Some interesting stuff from the chat. Trusty on a double up here with you, first half and full game. Raldi Mania says, I think Vikings offense can definitely score on Browns, but when it comes down to it, this is a game of what defense is going to get more stops. Do we believe in the Vikings defense? Absolutely not. Nutflush on, and that's absolutely not from Raldi, not my answer. Nutflush on says Browns only do what they need to get by. Gerald Jones says could be a shootout. Danzo says Cleveland's been crap for so long, hard to imagine they might be one of the best teams. Not for me. Caveman Bet says Vikings have been struggling against the run, and Chubb, Hunt, Felton will be a bit too much for the Vikes. Viper says the total's gone over in 8 of Minnesota's last 10 games at home. Dennis Garcia says the combined record of Cleveland opponents is 3-6. So very good points brought up to everybody. How about this, Bebsie?
Okay.
Right.
Let's take into account that the Chiefs is one of those teams, and that's very uncharacteristic of the Chiefs who have lost 2 games out of 3. So let's not put too much stock into the Browns' opponent's record right now. It's not like the Denver opponent's record, which is a combined 0-9.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. From a total standpoint, do you see this as being a shootout type game? This total opened up at 52.5, dropped the point to 51.5, but a lot of money's on the over.
What? Sorry, I'm.
Oh, and Slat's wondering if you're also going to double up on. I'm talking about the total here. Two questions here. Are you interested in the total? Do you think this will be a over or under type game? And Slat's wondering if you're going to be back on the double up for Browns running back props.
I got to see what the number is, but yeah, that's been live for me a lot, and it's cashed more times than it hasn't, and even when it hasn't cashed, at least one of them has covered. So it's been a relatively safe bet for me. That's why I keep going back to that well. I mean, after last week, the numbers might be juiced a little bit, but I'm gonna have a look at it, and if it's reasonable again, I'm absolutely gonna jump on.
We got Robbie Tagaloa, the Samoan Thunder, in the chat. Had the pleasure hitting Santini, the racetrack, with the man. He says, I lean the under. Both teams will establish the run. If the Browns win this game, they're the team that I expect them to be. If the Vikings win this game, I'm nervous, and maybe the Browns did just beat up on some weak competition the last couple of games. So let's see what CMAC says. It might not be easy for Browns, but I want to see them go on the road here and win and cover. I want to too, and I really feel like I don't need to invest any money. If they win this game, all my futures look great, and I have 4 of them. Division, win total, AFC, Super Bowl. So, but I don't want to leave money on the table. So, Bebsie,
it's not a long road trip for the Browns here. Like, it's not like they're traveling across the country. This home advantage isn't a huge one, in my opinion.
Bebsie, is it double up time, or what is your plan here?
I'm doing first half full game Brownies.
Well, I got full game up here right now. You have a choice between -1.5 at -117 and -2 at -108. I think that. Well, I'll let you make that decision.
No. I like to hear your opinion.
I would take the -2 and -108. 9 cents is not worth a half point at this number. It's not even close to a key number. So the key is to keep your juice down. So
I dig your style, dude.
All right, full game -2 at -108, and the first half. Let's go to first half line shopping. This will be interesting because you may have a choice between a money line and a spread here. First half -0.5 at -110. That's available at Bodog, Heritage, and Sports Interaction. So let's see. So we know that -0.5, -110. So let's go to money lines. Let's go to money lines here. Oh yeah, you have to take that. The lowest is -135. So -0.5 at -110, and that is available at Heritage or Sports Interaction. First half -0.5 -110 is at Heritage. All right. Look, these aren't big bets for me, but 4 of them on the Browns at $200 a pop is $800. So I don't think I'm going to invest anything here. I'm just going to cheer on the Browns heavily. And look, I don't want it to cost me money, but I'm also curious to see if I'm going to be right. And I think this game will lead to the answer. So at this point, I'm not moving on anything. And Bebsie, lean under or over at the total at 51.5. Do you have a lean?
I would probably lean the over just because I really think late in the game we could see Kirk Cousins start airing that ball out. And listen, he has maybe the best 1-2 punch receiver combo in the NFL right now. Yeah, there's a ton of great 1-2 combos, but I love Thielen and Jefferson. They're so good. So, yeah, I think you could see this covering late because of the Vikings receivers. But I would lean over. I'm not going to touch it. I think this could also just be a smash mouth running game, but I don't think it will be.
Caveman Bet says over or pass. Crystal Warren says, I don't think these two teams' run games slow the game down. Said their yards per run averages are bigger than most. Crystal Warren is on the over. And Dennis Trusty and Bebsie are riding together in this spot. First half, full game, Cleveland Browns. We move on to the next spot on the board. 1 p.m. Eastern, New York Giants at New Orleans Saints. Giants 0-3, 0-1 on the road. Saints 2-1, 1-0 at home. Caesars Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's start with the market. Move over to the cash in this spot. The Saints open up at -9, which is nuts. And so it's being bet down. Of course it's being bet down. You know what? I'd like to see how long it lasted at -9 because that's just crazy. I mean, it lasted for 2 minutes. So Pinnacle put out a 9 at 8:06 p.m. on Sunday. 2 minutes later, it was at 8.5. But then it stuck at 8.5 for 18 hours before it moved to 7.5. And that is where it's been. And at 7.5, the Saints are taking money market-wise. This total opened up at 43.5. Still lots of 43.5s on the board. The 43.5s are taking juice, and we now see 43s. Okay, let's see where the cash lies in this spot. 6,027 tickets in on the spread. 43% of the tickets on the Giants, 75% of the cash. Big bets were made on the Giants as soon as that number 9 came out. From a total side of things, 41% of tickets on the over, 89% of cash on the over. Very interesting. Giants come in off their second straight week of losing a game on the final play. 17-14 setback at home. The Atlanta Falcons dampened the Eli Manning jersey retirement. Who cares? John Merritt came out. Co-owner was booed as he spoke. It was great. Haven't made the playoffs since 2016. Daniel Jones, 24-35, 266 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Ran 8 times for 39 yards, easily eclipsing his 25.5 player prop rush total that Dutch Boy Fresh gave out here on our Sunday show. He also lost 2 fumbles, but luckily Giants recovered them. Golladay, 4 catches for 64 yards. Evan Ingram makes his season debut, 2 catches for 21 yards, and loses a fumble. Slayton and Shepard both left the game in the first half with hamstring injuries. Colin Johnson stepped in. He looked pretty good. Johnson had 5 catches for 51 yards. Giants had 2 73-yard drives that fell apart, a sack, a mishandled snap. Saquon Barkley ran 16 times for 51 yards and 1 touchdown. He also caught 6 passes for 43 yards. Blake Martinez, this is the biggest note of the whole game. Their inside linebacker led them in tackles last season. Knee injury on the opening series. It is an ACL tear. He is done for the season. Safety Nate Ebner and guard Ben Bredson are both listed as questionable. Saints come in off a giant 28-13 win at New England. Jameis Winston, 13-21, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And our man, Jose Bouquet, has put together a little video for us. Jose, my man, drop it like it's hot.
I think we got to get a week-to-week soundbite compilation going. Clip show just what we have to say about Jameis Winston. I believe that Jameis Winston will be fine, but I think Jameis Winston's going to have a good year. And
I think that Jameis Winston should win Comeback Player of the Year, possibly lead the NFL in passing yards. Winston looked so in control. He's just different.
I have faith in Jameis. Is it as simple as laser eye surgery?
Jameis Winston looked lost, and he's incapable of communicating and making smart decisions.
And then this week, you literally just said, I don't think he has what it takes between the ears to be an elite NFL quarterback. And you might be right. He did look terrible. Oh, that is beautiful.
Jameis Winston, 13 of 21, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and I was impressed. And it's so funny, the things he's saying, he's not eating W's and throwing 2 fingers directly into his mouth anymore. Now he's saying things like this. Saints football has always been efficiency and physicality up front. That's all I know. They win up front and they play tough. That's what we did here. And that is exactly what they did. A week after a career-low passing rating, Winston was in command of the offense in a road game where they were screaming in his face. He was in control. Marquez Callaway led the receivers with 4 catches for 41 yards, 1 touchdown. Alvin Kamara ran 24 times for 89 yards, caught 3 passes for 29 yards, 1 touchdown. Taysom Hill came in, ran 6 times for 32 yards and a touchdown. Marshawn Lattimore had 10 tackles. Demario Davis, 8 tackles, 2 for losses, 2 sacks, 11 hits on Mac Jones. The Saints' offensive line is already down. Eric McCoy, calf ruled out, but they lost Tron Armstead with an elbow injury. So they have some issues on the offensive line. Huge shout out to our producer, Jose Bouquet, on the 1s and 2s. I loved that clip. It was great. So great job.
That was fantastic, Jose. Well done, buddy.
Bebsie, Giants, Saints, take it away.
Well, I ain't going to say shit about Jameis Winston because that's going to come back and make us look like assholes. Or not. We're completely right and wrong about him so far. Look, I don't know how you can lay any money with the Giants, even though they've had games come down to the wire. Look, the Saints team is just a better football team. I do think the 9 was insane. I'm not surprised that was bet down in a hurry. I bet James Winston drives around with no seatbelt. I love this guy. Look, the Saints are just they're still a dominant football team in the trenches. They've had some issues with some injuries. They've had some Jameis Winston issues where you don't know what you're gonna get. But man, it's Saints or no bet for me. It really is. I don't know how you lay any money with Daniel Jones. I said this last week, probably the week before. This guy is not getting better. He's the same guy he was first year, which shows all kinds of potential, doesn't protect the football, throws a beautiful ball, then throws one of the worst balls you've ever seen. He's the only thing that's predictable about Daniel Jones is fumbling the ball or falling when he's wide open running for a touchdown. I'm off this game, but if I had to bet, it's even with the points, I'm taking the Saints.
I'm hesitant to make a move at this as well. Their first game.
Here could be my look. Sorry to cut you off there,
no,
Jimmy, but what is the Giants team total? Because that might be my look in this game.
The total is low as a whole, 43. And the Giants team total is sitting at just 16.5.
I think I like the Giants team total under on this one.
Wow, even at 16.5.
Who's scoring for them?
Wow.
Who's going to put up points?
Okay, Bebsie, but I need your thoughts on Jameis Winston's performance this week.
What's that?
I need your thoughts on Jameis Winston's performance this week, please, and thank you.
This past week or this coming week?
This past week, what he did. I need some more ammo in the chamber, and unfortunately, this is the show where I have to kind of rule things, so I need the ammo. Come on.
Yeah. Well, okay. I have to agree with Jimmy here. He was in command of the offense. He didn't make mistakes, and he looked like good Jameis Winston.
He did.
Will we see good Jameis Winston again this week? Maybe, because he's playing a Giants team that outside of early draft steal Azeez Ojulari, which I can't believe Azeez Ojulari dropped to the second round just because of his size, nothing else. He was He was the best pass rusher in the draft, I think, and he's showed it so far. But I think Jameis has a soft defense to look solid again this week.
Let me ask you this, Bebsie. We have first game after the hurricane, roof on fire. The city needs the Saints to come in and put smiles on people's faces, make people feel good. Every time the Saints have been in this situation over the last 5 years, they've lifted the city up with their great play. Do you expect that again here, or is the spread too high?
I mean, they're going to lift the team up by winning. Fans care less about the spread than bettors do. So, but yeah, I said earlier, I think it's Saints or nothing, even with the spread here. I just think we're talking about a vastly superior football team. Who makes plays for the Giants on either side of the ball? I love Saquon Barkley. I loved him at Penn State. I was so excited to watch his career, and the Giants are currently shoving him into a box of mediocrity, which is disgusting. That guy needs to be traded now to a team that can use him. It's awful to watch what they're doing to him in New York. I want them to free Saquon Barkley. But yeah, it's Saints or nothing. I mean, even now that I'm talking about it, I don't think -9 is that crazy. The Giants have been the worst team in football collectively for the last 5 years. It's not changing this week. This isn't the week where Daniel Jones is like, you know what? I'm going to stop being a shithead and dropping the ball. It's going to keep happening. So Saints or no play.
Gerald Jones said Saints 4 unders, no overs this year. And when we go back to the cash flow, Dutch Boy Fresh says, I like the under 43, but I don't want to do it due to my health. When I go back to the cash flow, just to remind you guys, there's only 6,090 tickets in. Of course, on Sunday, we'll have 60,000 tickets to talk about. But with 6,090 tickets in, 41% of the tickets are on the over, and 89% of cash is on the over. And what that tells me is not only do they think that if the Giants are behind, they're going to be airing it out like crazy, but there's going to be pick sixes, and this total is too low, is what it's telling me. And I'm not sitting here going to bet it. There's my guy Nilo in the house. Giants, Saints, did you want the Giants team total under, or you want some time to think about this?
I want time to think about that, but man, I don't hate that idea. I just don't see who puts up points for them right now.
Gerald Jones says that number too low. We move on. No picks from Bebsie. It looks like he was about to pull the trigger on the under 16.5. We'll see what that number is on Sunday. As always, Bebsie will be with us every Sunday, as will 5 other cappers giving us their best bets on the Sunday card. We move on to 1 p.m. Eastern, Tennessee Titans at New York Jets. Let's move this over right now. And here we go. We're at MetLife Stadium. These Titans 2-1, 1-0 on the road. Jets 0-3, 0-1 at home. 70 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 7 miles per hour. The weather, a non-issue early in the season. Let's take a look at what we are dealing with in this spot. Tennessee opening up as 7.5-point favorites. That's where they stand right now. But that 7.5 opened at plus 100. It's now at minus 113 at Pinnacle. So there's been a 13-cent move on Tennessee. This total opened up at 46. We see a couple 45.5s. Let's see if the money follows that plan here in this spot. 8,234 tickets in. 92% of the tickets, 92% of the cash on the Titans. And hasn't moved a half point. It's just moved juice. Interesting. Then we have 62% of the tickets on the under and 83% of the cash on the under, clearly thinking that this Jets team is incapable of putting up points. Titans come in off a 25-16 win at home over the Colts, an impressive win, considering they turned the ball over 3 times and didn't force any turnovers. Tannehill, 18-27 for 197 yards. Nick Westbrook Ikena led the way with 4 catches for 53 yards and his first career touchdown. A.J. Brown hurt his hamstring early in the game. He's now considered week to week. He will not be in the lineup this Sunday. Julio Jones suffered some kind of injury. He's not on the report, but they spoke about it. Both coaches spoke about it in the presser. So something happened to Julio Jones, and he is listed as questionable, but I don't know what it was. Rookie outside linebacker Rashad Weaver was carted to the locker room late in the third quarter. Tight end Anthony Firkser and Caleb Farley continue to be listed as questionable. So Rashad Weaver was put on injured reserve today. Derek Roberson was put on injured reserve today. And then you have Bud Dupree active, but on the sidelines. Only going to come in if an emergency. Clearly trying to protect him for later in the year. That is a ton of injuries going on right now in Tennessee. Do you need those guys against the Jets? Probably not. 26-0 loss at Denver. Third NFL team to lose 12 consecutive games in September, joining the 94-97 Saints, 2007-10 Rams. They hold the record with 13 consecutive losses in the month. Zach Wilson. God, these Jets just make bad decision after bad decision. Zach Wilson, 19-35, 160 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They ran the ball 13 times for 43 yards. Michael Carter and Ty Johnson, that's going to be your running back tandem? I mean, you think that's going to work? Corey Davis, 5 catches, 41 yards, led the team. 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Elijah Moore, head injury, even concussion protocol. Tyler Kroft has a chest injury, which we need to learn more about. They also have Tevin Coleman, Jamison Crowder, still listed as questionable. Crowder didn't play last week. Saquon Hampton, their safety, still listed as questionable. And as we know, Mekhi Becton not coming back. Gerard Davis gone. Carl Lawson gone. Those were the big losses from the beginning of the year. Interesting spot with Tennessee on the road with all these injuries. We know the public's going to be all over them. Bebsie, Titans, Jets, take it away.
Jimmy, I'm going to start off with a little quick question here. Do you know who leads the NFL in quarterback pressures? It's going to surprise you.
I do not.
It's Max Crosby. He has 25. Do you know who's second, though?
Who?
Harold Landry with 20. That's why Bud Dupree is only coming in, because he's probably not 100%, and they're getting a ton of pressure with Harold Landry as is. He looked like a stud. Was it Boston College that he went to? I forget where he went to college, but he looked like a beauty there. His ankles were questioned. He's starting to look like the player that they thought he could be, and that spells bad news for Zach Wilson, especially with Mekhi Becton out. I don't think Zach Wilson – well, okay, I do think Zach Wilson is a bad choice, but not for the reasons you do. I think Zach Wilson's a bad choice. I said this in week 1. You don't take a quarterback who had shoulder surgery on his throwing shoulder because of his mechanics when he didn't fix his mechanics. You don't take that guy 2 overall. But I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just question the longevity of his career with that shoulder, and especially playing for the Jets. Now, with Mekhi Becton out and Landry playing the way he is, injuries aside, it's going to be a tough day for Zach Wilson. Also, who on this defense, other than the MetLife Stadium field, please, I hope this doesn't happen because I love watching Henry run. But other than that field, who's going to stop Henry? Henry is an absolute machine. And he just, every time I think he's going to get tired and wear down, he doesn't. He gets stronger as the game goes on. He's an absolute truck. I don't see how the Jets can do anything in this game. Tennessee's defense is going to be rested. They're just going to smash the ball down this Jets defense throat, and there's nobody on that team that can stop them. Quick, name 5 starting Jets defenders off the top of your head without looking at the roster. Now, go. You can't. No one can. Not even Jets fans. This is just a talent deficient team. And Tennessee, yeah, other than their abysmal week 1 performance, they've looked fine.
And you're going to stay off. Eric Anderson, yeah, sorry, just very quickly, sports insights for the tickets and the amount of tickets and that, but different for the market move. So hit me on Twitter for that information. Nutflashan says this is a first half play just like Bama. Titans first half big. Let me just say a couple things here that I find very interesting. Back to back from Birdie and Dennis Garcia, whom we love capping with. Birdie says, I got Titans -6 early. Titans don't get a pass rush, and Wilson with time can be efficient. Says, I'm also looking at the over because this is the week the Jets may score 17. May also look at the middle on the 7. And then Dennis Garcia says, Carolina, New England, Denver have more talent on defense than Tennessee. All have elite defensive coaches. Wilson will have a chance to be decent here. Think it's a buy low spot on the Jets.
It's kind of why I'm off it, because it feels like it could be a trap game here. But I'm not doing it. I'm not jumping on the Jets, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, I get that. Maybe this is a spot we revisit. With the injuries on the Titans right now, I think that you want Tennessee to get bet. If we can get to a bigger number, I think the play will be the Jets. B-Ball says, I love the Jets plus the points.
I'll tell you something, the honest truth, Jimmy. If somehow Tennessee got bet all the way to -13.5, I would still not touch the Jets.
Oh, Jesus.
They're so bad. They're a bad football team.
If I could get 9, I will bet the Jets.
You're crazy. I understand that that's value, but come on, man. Look at their roster. They got nothing. What they had in the offseason when you were like, the Jets got a couple of bright spots, those fucking spots are gone. They got nothing. Look at their running back situation, Jimmy. Old Bebsie could dust off his cleats and have a shot at making the roster. They're better off with Frank Gore. Frank Gore's 100 years old.
Oh, okay. No move for us in Titans Jets. If I gave you a free $500 bet right now on the total at 46 in Tennessee Jets, is it an easy under?
Sorry to hurt Jets fans' feelings right now. That's not what I was trying to do. And yeah, I would take the under. Free $500 bet, I'd take the under. Because again, I don't know how the Jets put up points, even against this banged up Tennessee defense.
Because I don't see the Titans running up any score here. All the injuries they have, I think they want the ball as long as possible.
Yeah, I can see this. If I was to play something in this game, which I am not, I would put money on the under.
Danny Lopez joining us. Dennis Garcia says Jose needs to clip the Bebsie rant, bookmark for trolling when the Jets win outright. Okay, we move on. No move here, but let's take a look at the Jets team total in this game, because everybody's been cashing these team total unders and over again. Oh, it's 17.5. That's pretty high. Okay. But it's heavily juiced to the under, so maybe we'll see a little better. And the Nathan Cerna says Jets team total under. I don't think we should keep going back to that kind of a well. We know what happens when you keep going back to the same well. You get bored and file for divorce. Next up here is the Chiefs Eagles, but Dennis Garcia says free bet. He would be on the over. Where is it? I thought I saw it. Oh, yeah, free bet over. No play, though. Okay, and Ski Prop says Titans defense not good enough for me to take the Jets team total under. All right. Let's go. Randy Brand says lost a 15K 5-team parlay with Chiefs on the money line. Chiefs are fake. Randy Brand, I was on the Chargers. I mean, I didn't think they'd win outright, but at this point with their defense the way it is, it's a tough team to trust. It's a tough team to trust. Let's talk about them right now, though. Perfect timing from our guy, Randy Brand. I'm sad. I sucks that you lost that 15K on 5-team parlay. It sucks. So we'll hear what Bebsie thinks about these Chiefs right away. Chiefs, Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 72 Fahrenheit chance of showers. We start with the market. Chiefs open up at -5.5, move to 7.5. Now that 7.5 is a plus money. This total goes from 55 to 54.5. I was curious, when did this market move from 5.5 to 7.5? So it's loading right now. I don't know why it's taking so long today. Line history. Give me the line history. All right, it's coming in a second. While I'm waiting for okay, here it is. Line history's up. When did it move? So it was at 5.5 yesterday at 1:54 p.m. It moved to 6.5 at 2:30 p.m. And then at 10 at night yesterday, Monday night, it moved to 7.5. The 7.5 was juiced to -105. Money has been coming in on the Eagles since then. The Eagles, when it moved to 7.5, was -105. They're now -115. So let's see where the money lies in this Chiefs spot right now. Here we go. 7,792 tickets in. 87% of the tickets on the Chiefs. 98% of the cash on the Chiefs. Wow. Then we have 68% of tickets on the over, but just 17% of cash on the over. And that over has gone from, let me just move over to this total. This total opened up at 55, and it's dropped a half point to 54. So the book's clearly not scared by this money coming in on the over. Chiefs coming off a 30-24 loss at home to the Chargers. Mahomes 27-44 for 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Travis Kelce caught 7 passes for 104 yards. Tyreek Hill had another subpar performance. 5 catches, 56 yards, and lost a fumble. That follows his 3 catches for 14 yards the week before, and that follows 197 yards week 1. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 17 carries for 100 yards, also lost a fumble. They managed just 1 sack. They're getting no pressure whatsoever. Instead of kicking a field goal to win, the whole idea for Staley was just sit back and relax and keep the ball in Herbert's hands because the Chiefs can't stop you. They had Chris Jones in the lineup, but they were without Frank Clark with a hamstring injury and Chavarius Ward with a quad injury, and now Rashad Fenton. Rashad Fenton is in concussion protocol. So you have 2 cornerbacks out. Eagles coming off an ugly 41-21 road beatdown delivered by the Cowboys. Jalen Hurts, 25-39 for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Also ran 9 times for 35 yards. Eagles only ran 3 other times in the game. Twice with Miles Sanders, once with Kenneth Gainwell. The tight ends were the focus, which is something we've been waiting for, but didn't help in the end. Goddard, 2 catches for 66 yards. Ertz, 4 catches for 53 yards, 1 touchdown. 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, but they did not look good, this defense. The Cowboys had a 19-1 edge in first downs late in the first half. Left guard Isaac Sumalo was taken off in the card after injuring his right foot in the 4th quarter. They're already without Mailata, left tackle, and Brandon Brooks, right guard. And safety Kevon Wallace injured his left shoulder and didn't return. This is a beat-up football team. This is a very interesting game with moving parts. Burgundy Betts asked, what's the status on Andy Reid? He's fine. He's good to go. You know, when you're his size and you're waking up at dawn and, you know, stressed out and, you know, your children are fill in the blank. I don't even need to get to that point. Look, your heart's beating a little too fast for those sloppy tits, you know. Bebsie, take it away. Chiefs, Eagles.
Oh, wow. Poor Andy Reid. Listen, I think this is a get-right spot for at least the Chiefs' offense. I don't know if there's a get-right spot for this Chiefs defense. They have some injuries, but it's been, I feel like, an overachieving defense in recent years, and now they're kind of being exposed for what they really are. My look in this game is probably going to end up being a Jalen Hurts rush prop, but look, I think the Chiefs win. I think betting on the Chiefs to cover is always difficult. There's some major, like the loss of Brooks and Graham and now Mailata are so huge for the Eagles. And I feel like that got lost in the shuffle. There was a lot of commentary about Jalen Hurts. He's still pretty much a rookie. That was only his 7th start on Monday night. And yeah, he did look like a rookie at times. He was irresponsible with the ball. But also, like, you lose your best offensive lineman and your best defensive lineman. And those guys aren't just good players. Like, those guys are elite players. And that's a huge kick. Squaw in the nuts. And they responded accordingly. They got blown out on Monday night in a divisional setting. I think they'll play better this week. I don't know what the status is on Mailata. If he's back, that helps big time. That guy is an absolute monster. But I can't bet the Chiefs to cover because they seldom do. And I just think they will win. They'll get to 2-2. It is a get-right spot for them offensively to go and attack this Eagles defense. But the only look I'm going to have in this game is Jalen Hurts rush props because I really don't know what to make of either team right now.
It's a perfect opportunity for people to back the Chiefs.
It is, which tells me to bet the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's also the perfect time to back it's a buy low spot on both teams. So, okay, I thought this Phillies defense was going to look better than it looked last night. What did you see from this from this Eagles defense that got shredded by the Cowboys?
I think the loss of Brandon Graham can't be understated. I think he's one of the more underrated defensive linemen in football. He doesn't get talked about much because he doesn't typically pile up sack numbers like some of the other guys. Also, he plays for the Eagles, so he gets overlooked for being on that team. Losing that guy is really, really devastating for this team. And I think a combination of that and look, we're watching a hungry Dak Prescott play well with a myriad of weapons, and now that they're healthy on the O-line, Dak is back. They've got 3 very capable receivers. Schultz, great performance from a tight end that nobody talks about, and then you got both your running backs, Pollard and Zeke, running well. So I don't know if it's so much trashing spot on the Philadelphia Eagles defense so much as it is like it's a really difficult matchup and they just lost their leader. I'm not calling him Aaron Donald, but take Aaron Donald off the Rams with an injury and see how the Rams defense responds. Like that's the magnitude. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald. Nobody's Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's the best player in the league. But you're losing your star and your leader. That's crushing to any defense.
Yeah, at this point, I can't take a 7.5 road favorite. We have Tennessee in the same boat. So, this will take more breakdowns, and we will talk about this again on Sunday. By the way, those of you in the chat right now following along, Birdie hit his birdie. What did he call it again? The birdie nest builder? He hit his NHL parlay today. The first time he's given it out, a plus 528. He also gave us an 11-1 winner that cashed during the show. Birdie is a spectacular capper, and we're thankful to run with you, Birdie. Thank you for sharing your hard work with us. No move for us in Chiefs-Eagles. We move on to afternoon action. 4:05 p.m. We start Arizona Cardinals at Los Angeles Rams, SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. And the vaunted, if a team has a season-defining win, you bet against them the next week, is in play here. So let's take a look at the market in this spot. We have the Rams opening up at -6. They're now at 4.5, a 1.5 point move towards the Cardinals. This total opened up at 53.5. It's now at 54. or 54.5. We go right to the cash flow in this spot. 5,132 tickets in, 44% of the tickets on the Cardinals on the spread, but 64% of the cash, and then 36% of the tickets on the under, and 89% of the cash on the under. 89% of the cash on the under, and we've seen this in 4 or 5 different spots on this card, yet this total has gone up a point or a half point at every single card. Viper MB says, I'm on the Cards plus points for sure. Sammy Comer said, bet Cardinals plus 6 this morning, already down to 4.5. Whack Prescott says, give me the Cards. Birdie says, second best look for me, Cardinals plus 6, and will be betting the Cards money line. Dennis Garcia says, I took Arizona plus 6 and over 53.5. Lukewarm in the 6. Wish I put more on the over. Cardinals coming off a 31-19 win at Jacksonville. The game was closer than the score indicates. Jacksonville led 19-10 after James Robinson's 4-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. Of course, that included that Agnew 109-yard run back. Cardinals improved to 3-0 for the first time since 2015. Kyler Murray, 28 of 34 for 316 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. James Conner ran 11 times for 43 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Edmonds ran 11 times for just 26 yards, but caught 7 passes for 49 yards. Connor Pick says, yup, Cards plus 6. A.J. Green caught 5 passes for 112 yards. Christian Kirk caught 7 passes for 104 yards. Sammy Calmer says, since 2003, when 2 undefeated divisional opponents play, the underdog has gone 24-12-2 against the spread. Wow. Jordan Hicks was all over the field. 12 tackles, 1 sack. Marcus Golden had the other sack. Chandler Jones had 0 sacks, but 3 quarterback hits. Byron Murphy, 2 picks, returning 1 to the house. Arizona's offensive line was very strong. 0 sacks, 1 hit on Kyler Murray. But they lose 2 offensive linemen. Started Justin Pugh and backup Justin Murray left with back injuries. Both are listed as questionable. So is offensive tackle Kelvin Beachum. Cardinals backup cornerback Charles Washington injured his hamstring in the first half, and he is listed as questionable this week. Rams come in off a big 34-24 win at home versus the Bucs. Rams are 3-0 for the third time in McVay's 5 seasons. Stafford 27 of 38 for 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Deshaun Jackson, man. 3 receptions for 120 yards, 1 touchdown. He finished with 3 catches for 120. So that's 9 career touchdown receptions of at least 75 yards. That ties him with Lance Allworth for the most in NFL history. Let's get this guy out of the recording booth. Let's get him to stop producing hip-hop and start focusing on NFL again. Cooper Kupp, 9 catches for 96 yards. Sony Michel ran 20 times for 67 yards. Kenny Young was all over the field. 10 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for a loss. They got 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits on Brady. Linebacker Justin Holland suffered a pectoral injury. We're not sure how bad it is at this point. Cornerback Chris Harris and defensive tackle Justin Jones are questionable for this week. Bebsie, the chat all over the Cardinals at this point. But when we go to the poll, 35 votes, and now it's at 4.5, just 51% on the Cardinals. So that's interesting. We had our cappers in the chat back the Cardinals at plus 6. It's now 4.5. Bebsie, take it away.
I completely disagree with the chat here. I saw those numbers. I saw that stat. 24, 12, and 1 against the spread, the underdog. The Arizona Cardinals beat the Jaguars. One of the worst teams in football, the worst team in football last year, maybe the second worst team in the football this year. And they didn't beat them in stunning fashion. They should have lost to Minnesota. That was a shanked chip shot. And then week 1, you beat the Titans. It was a solid performance. The Rams have been dominant. They spanked Tampa. They've got maybe the best 2 defensive players in the NFL. Aaron Donald, number 1, unequivocally. And Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL, if you ask me, and one of the best defenders in the NFL. I do not see the Cardinals being able to roll with this Rams team, especially with the way they're playing under Matt Stafford. He's spreading the ball around. He's finally opened up McVay's playbook the way Goff couldn't. The biggest question mark right now is depth on defense and their running game. and that's just because they've had injuries. I mean, I understand from a number standpoint why you're betting the Cardinals here, but I can't get past the fact that I think the Rams are a vastly superior team. I think the Cardinals, they might be a fringe playoff team. I think 3-0 is that is not the team we're looking at. I think the Rams are a potential Super Bowl candidate. Like I get it. You're betting numbers, and I appreciate that. I just don't see it. I can't agree with the chat here. And you guys are all brilliant. There's so many good cappers, and you're all on the same page, which tells me I'm dead fucking wrong, but I don't feel that way.
I don't think this is betting numbers at all. It's just simply put, you fade a team after a season-defining win, and if that's the only bet you ever made in sports, you'd be filthy rich. And nothing to do with numbers.
I get that, but I understand that with certain teams. I don't feel this Rams team. Yeah, they beat Tom Brady, and that's very exciting for these guys. I don't know if that's a season-defining win. I think a bigger win for them is they're 0-4 in the last 4 games against the Niners, and McVay wants to prove Shanahan he could beat them. I think when they play, that's a bigger season-defining game for them.
Did you see McVay after the Deshaun Jackson touchdown? I mean, did you see him after the game? Birdie says the only bigger game the Rams will win this year will be the Super Bowl. Just like the Ravens last week, it took a 66-yard miracle to win. I think it's impossible to compare the Niners to the Tom Brady-led Super Bowl champions that have won 10 straight, personally. But, I mean, look, well, how about this? Are you going to make the Rams minus 4.5 an official pick?
No, because I'd be crazy to go against all these sharp cappers.
This is a Cardinal spot, screaming Cardinal spot to me. But with that being said, I'd feel like an ass taking the 4.5 instead of 6, and it jumped right to 4.5 from 6 at Pinnacle, and it was at 6 this morning. I could have got him at 6 this morning had I been more on the ball, not overwhelmed with my own bullshit. So, Boogeyman says, "Damn it, McNellick's got me." Yeah, yeah, man, that got me too. Cardinals, Rams, no official pick right now for Bebsie. What do you think? And Boogeyman says Rams cover easy. What do you think of this total? A lot of thought here that the under might be a look. It's gone only up, though, and Dennis Garcia wished he had more money on this over. 53.5 it opened up at. It's now at 54.5.
I agree with Dennis here. I agree that. I think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this game. I might jump on this over with Dennis here.
Okay, well, why don't you think about it, because we got time. We'll do a review at the end of the show. Let's keep rolling. Unless you want to make it. Do you want to make that do you want to make that, or you want to spend a few minutes?
Let me mull that over in the back of my head.
The next 4:05 p.m. start is Seattle Seahawks at San Francisco 49ers. Speak of the NFC West. Here you are, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California, 71 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 11 miles per hour is the wind. Niners open up at minus 2.5. That was at minus 105. It's now minus 116 at Pinnacle, an 11-cent move towards the Niners. And Heritage, UWager, Bodog, and Sports Interaction have moved it to minus 3. This total opened up at 52.5. It's still at 52.5 at Pinnacle, but there's been an 11-cent move to the under, and it's moved to 52 everywhere else. Let's take a look at the cash flow in this Seahawks-Niners spot. 4,854 tickets in, 69% of the tickets on the Seahawks, 78% of the cash. Then you have 62% of tickets on the under and 90% of the cash on the under, and it's moved a half point. Seahawks coming off a 30-17 loss in Minnesota, wasted the week earlier. They wasted a 14-point fourth quarter lead, lost in overtime to Tennessee. Russell Wilson, 23 of 32, 298 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. DK Metcalf was the main weapon, 6 catches for 107 yards, 1 touchdown. Chris Carson ran 12 times for 80 yards. And now these Seahawks are sitting here at 1-2 in a very, very competitive division. Defensively, Jamal Adams, 12 tackles. Bobby Wagner followed up the 20-tackle game with 11. But they didn't get enough pressure. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Defensive end Benson Mayowa, neck injury, out. Then Kerry Hyder, concussion, left in the second quarter. Linebacker Jordan Brooks, leg cramps, was carted off in the fourth quarter. He should be fine. Jamarco Jones replaced Brandon Shell in the starting lineup at right tackle. And undrafted rookie Jake Curran took some snaps there too. There's a lot of question marks now all over for the Seahawks. Niners coming off a 30-28 loss at home to the Packers. Jimmy G, 25 of 40, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. There was times where I was losing hope in him while I was watching this game, and I sent you a text saying I would prefer not to watch him anymore. The call that Kyle Shanahan made at the end of the first half was brilliant. I spoke to my dad about it today because the reason why he's a brilliant coach, but I probably kicked the field goal there to make sure I have some momentum. Bringing in Trey Lance and putting the defense just confusing the defense, throwing all the wide receivers on the one side, and having Lance run on the other side. It was brilliant. George Kittle, 7 catches for 92 yards. Deebo Samuel, 5 receptions for 52 yards. But this rush attack, Bebsie, is looking awful. Trey Sermon, 10 carries for 31 yards. They lose Kawhi Williams to a calf injury and Josh Norman to a chest injury in the first half. So Kyle Shanahan says that Williams has a calf strain and will be out for a while. Elijah Mitchell, questionable. Kittle has a sore calf. He'll be day-to-day. Norman Chest spent Sunday night in the hospital. He hopes to play in week 4. And then Hasty on injured reserve, Givens on injured reserve, Greenlaw on injured reserve, and I could just keep going down the injured reserve list. But you know them. Tell me about this spot, Bebsie, Seahawks, Niners.
K1's out. They're saying Josh Norman's going to play. He had bruised lungs, and if you watch the play it happened on, it makes sense. It was the peanut punch play where he took a helmet directly to the chest. They said he's going to be fine, ready to go. Kittle's probably going to play through that calf injury. And I think they might get Mitchell back. He was a question mark for last week. The thing about Trey Sermon, if you watch him at Ohio State, he got stronger and stronger as the season and the game went on. So tough running attack. I don't think they have a ton of trust in him right now because you saw how many times they went to Kyle Juszczyk. But this is a season-defining game for both of these teams. If Seattle drops to 1-3 in this tough division, you're in a lot of trouble. If San Francisco drops to 2-2, losing to a divisional opponent, there's going to be a lot of doubt settling in, especially because, look, once again, the injuries are piling up for San Francisco. Their running back room is massively depleted. Their corners are already depleted big time. They're going to need Mosley, Lenore, and Norman to stay healthy. If they can, San Francisco can shut this team down. Tough loss, obviously. 37 seconds left in the game. You go up on Aaron Rodgers, but that's too much time for Aaron Rodgers. They didn't deserve to win the game, though. Like, we both watched it. They got outplayed. They got outplayed the whole game, and they managed to still be winning with 37 seconds left in the game, which should tell you how good of a team this is. Like, they played horribly for two quarters, mediocre for a third, and then started rolling. So if San Francisco starts on time at home against Seattle, they should roll in this game. Seattle's defense has got huge question marks. Their offense is up and down. Their running game has been uninspiring. And frankly, if this Niners team is going to take over this decade-long rivalry, which really, for the most part of it, has just been Seattle beating the shit out of them, it's now. They have to do it now. And look, I'm Jimmy Garoppolo. Week 1, he looked solid start to finish. Week 2 and week 3, he did what Jimmy Garoppolo does a lot, which is look shitty for the first quarter and a good chunk of the second. It's almost like he's got to settle down and get into, and then he played fine throughout the rest of the game. Led them on a what would have been a game-winning touchdown drive. You'd be praising the way Jimmy G played if they won this game right now. So he needs to start on time. They need to overall just get this game going early. And also, Kyle Shanahan, for as genius as he is, and I love that play call. I hated that play call in real time until they scored the touchdown at the end of the half. But he has got to stop being so damn predictable in the first quarter. He just wants to right away start with this rush attack. And every team in the league knows it. They know Kyle Shanahan is running on first down on every single play for the first quarter, on every single drive, and they get stuffed. And it happened against the Eagles in week 2. It happened this week against Green Bay. It happened in week 1. So he's got to get less predictable in the first quarter. They have to jump out to a lead against the Seattle team, which this is going to be a tooth-and-nail dogfight that comes down the wire again.
K-Man Bet says the blueprint is there to beat the Seahawks, just run the ball down their throats. Are the Niners capable of running the ball down the Seahawks' throats?
Getting Elijah Mitchell back is huge, but also, like I have a ton of faith in Trey Sermon. I just don't know if he believes in himself yet. He's a super talented running back, and listen, if he gets a couple of big runs early on in the game, look out, because he's more than capable of just chewing up yardage. And so I thought as the game went on again last week, I thought we saw better out of Sermon. You saw even early in the game they were running Kyle Juszczyk, who's a great player, but an outside zone speed runner, he is not. He's a fullback. So Elijah Mitchell being healthy is huge. But they're out Mostert for the year. They're out Jeff Wilson until probably week 8. They're out JaMychal Hasty. They're out Elijah Mitchell. That's 4 running backs that they were expected to, carry the load for them that are out right now. So that group needs to get healthy.
Raldi Mania says, I think the Niners defense struggles. Seahawks come out guns a-blazing. He says, big game from DK. Who's guarding him? Same goes for the slots. Patrick says, I'm a 49ers guy, but I don't see how we contain Lockett and Metcalf. Can you contain Lockett and Metcalf?
Look, I think you need to have Josh Norman healthy, because I think Josh Norman is nasty enough and tough enough to play against Lockett. I don't know. Mosley healthy will surprise me. He's played it well against him. He's also been torched by Lockett, or by Metcalf, rather. So it comes down to them applying pressure and guys stepping up. I don't think it's out of the realm of reality for them to be able to do it, but a lot of it has to do with Josh Norman being able to be healthy and then step up against DK, because the other two I don't think can. Deommodore Lenoir has, for a 5th-round rookie, he has played exceptional football so far. He's just simply too small to cover Metcalf, but he can probably cover Lockett.
Feels like a buy low spot on both teams. Are you interested in pulling the trigger here on the Niners at 2.5?
I can't. When both of these teams are good, these games come down to the wire every damn time. For years, Seattle just kicked the shit out of San Francisco, but the Harbaugh years when they were great, it always came down to the final play of the game. And then since Shanahan got back, when they had a good team, it comes down to the wire.
It's going to be minus. Well, I shouldn't say it's going to be -3. The market's moving towards it being -3, but 70% of the tickets and 78% of cash are on the Seahawks. So, but the market looks like it's moving to a 3. And a quick look on the total, Bebsie, $500 bet. The total at 52. Do you go over or under? Free $500 bet.
I go under. These two teams play each other tight.
They always do, don't they? They always do. Let's take a look at that. There we have 62% of tickets, 90% of cash on the under. And then we have this total that opened up 52.5. It's still there, Pinnacle. That under does make a ton of sense, doesn't it? I think that I'm going to be adding the under to my breakdown. Now, is the under a mess if Norman doesn't come back? Is he a key part of this under?
Look, Josh Norman, to me, when they drafted or when they signed him a couple weeks ago, I was like, meh, who cares about Josh Norman? He's washed. But if you've watched Josh Norman play, he's played well. He's played like gritty defense for them. He's impressed me. I didn't give a shit about that signing. And then you saw him play in week 2, and I was like, okay, Josh Norman can play ball. And he looked good this week. When he got hurt, that secondary became ultra vulnerable. So he's I can't believe I'm saying it. He's an important part of this defense right now. And I think he's the only one. Maybe Mosley. Mosley has done a good job in the past, shutting down, like I said, DK, but he's also got torched by DK. So
the under seems very, very interesting at this point. I'm going to have to study it more before I make a decision. Again, we tweet out official plays, and we can while we can't promise you winners, we can promise you honesty and transparency. We move on from Seahawks, Niners to Baltimore Ravens at Denver Broncos. This has been wild watching money come in. Well, we'll see if money's come in, but the market moving towards the Ravens has been very, very interesting for me. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, Ravens 2-1, 1-1 on the road at the Broncos, 3-0, 1-0 homer at Mile High in Denver, Colorado. 70 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 6 miles per hour. The Ravens open up as 2-point dogs. They're now 1-point dogs. And BetOnline has switched. BetOnline has the Ravens as 1-point favorites. Heritage and New Wager have moved to a pick'em. Wow. Total opened up at 45. There are a couple 44.5s, mostly 44s. Then we move to the cash flow in this spot. 6,733 tickets in, 82% of the tickets, 88% of the cash on the Ravens. And the cash for the total isn't up. I don't know why, but we do know that 66% of the tickets are on the over. It'll all be figured out for sure by Sunday. Or if you watch Betting with the Bag, we will review market moves. We will touch on them in NFL. We won't break down individual games completely, but we will talk about market moves. We have many other sports to fill our 2.5-hour show. Ravens come in off a 1917 win at Detroit that saw Justin Tucker kicking an NFL record 66-yard field goal as time expired. Lamar Jackson, 16-31, 287 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also ran 7 times for 58 yards. Mark Andrews was the main weapon, caught 5 passes for 109 yards. Sammy Watkins caught 4 passes for 68 yards. Marquise Brown had at least 3 drops. And I was saying nice things about Marquise Brown, but he did not look good in that game. 3 drops, and some were crucial. Would have made the game much easier. But Miles Boykin and Rashad Bateman may return to the lineup this week. They're expected to practice all week. Latavius Murray ran 7 times for 58 yards. They ran as a team for 116 yards, surpassing 100 yards for the 42nd straight game to pull within 1 of the NFL record set by Pittsburgh from 74 to 77. Safety Chuck Clark was excellent all over the field, 12 tackles, 1 sack. Rookie linebacker Dalen Hayes and safety Deshaun Elliott were hurt during the game. Dalen Hayes has been moved to the IR, and Elliott is questionable this week. The defense started without defensive end Derek Wolfe, linebackers Jalen Ferguson and Justin Houston, defensive lineman Brandon Williams and Justin Madubuike are on the reserve COVID list on Friday. Ronnie Staley, questionable return to the lineup this week. A lot of issues. Everybody bullish on the Ravens, and it has caught me by surprise. Broncos come in off an easy 26-0 win over the Jets. Look, they're playing bad teams. I get it. A week after holding Trevor Lawrence to 118 passing yards, they hold Zach Wilson to 160 passing yards, sack him 5 times, intercept him twice, stop him twice on 4th down. Bridgewater 19-25 for 235 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tim Patrick led receivers with 5 catches for 98 yards. Melvin Gordon ran 18 times for 61 yards. They got 5 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. Von Miller got his 4th sack. Alexander Johnson got 2 sacks. And a tackle for 2 sacks, 2 tackle for losses, 2 quarterback hits, pass breakup, sacks from Shelby Harris and Malik Reed. They got 4 sacks in the first half. They held the Jets to 55 yards. Fangio had no update on some things, like Dalton Risner's foot injury, Graham Glasnow's left knee injury. KJ Hamler left knee injury. I have some updates now. Hamler has been placed on injured reserve Tuesday, so the knee injury is serious. Linebacker Jonas Griffith is on injured reserve. Mike Boone is now on injured reserve. Oh, he's been on injured reserve. He may return to practice this week. Graham Glasnow, questionable. Dalton Risner, questionable. And Bradley Chubb will return to the field some point this season, but he just had ankle surgery and won't be soon. I can't understand all this love for the Ravens. I find it perplexing, and it's completely stopped me in my tracks. Bebsie, take it away here. Ravens, Broncos.
I'm with you here on this one, Jimmy. I get it that the Broncos have beat a combined 0-9 group, but they've dominated them like they should. It's not like they squeaked badly. Kicked the shit out of the Jets. They cruised to a victory against the Jets. They controlled Jacksonville. This is a good football team. And what they were missing last year was a competent quarterback. And Teddy Bridgewater is competent. He's not special, but he's solid. They're also playing at home. Mile High is not an easy place for other teams to play. So I'm with you. I don't get the love for the Ravens in this. The Ravens have been up and down. They've been spotty. They've shown some good things. They've shown that I don't know. They're 2-1, but they don't feel like a dominant team to me. I don't think the Broncos feel like a dominant team either, but they feel like a very good team, and they feel like a team that has a strong defense. Vic Fangio is an excellent D coordinator, who's now head coach, obviously, but I think they can hem this Ravens offense in. And again, like this is a tough spot for the Ravens. On the road again. I think they've been on the road. They were on the road last week. Are they doubling up on the road here?
Yeah, they were in Detroit last week.
Yeah, that's right. So, and again, they snuck past Detroit. A miracle kick, an NFL record kick that dunked off the goalpost and in to beat Detroit. And now they roll into Denver, and everybody thinks they're going to kick ass. It's Denver or nothing for me.
I can't even come up with an argument for the Ravens. And when that happens, I have to – what am I missing?
The only argument I can come up with for the Ravens right now is that the Broncos have not been tested. That's the only argument I can give for them right now.
Back-to-back home games in front of their fans for the first time since 2019. Look, they beat the Chiefs, sure. So did the Chargers. This is absolutely perplexing that all this money is coming on the Ravens. Dennis Garcia says, join the Broncos train. I've got to sit back and figure out what I'm missing here, because I can't think of anything scarier right now in this young season than going into Mile High. With the way they're playing, the confidence they have, and Teddy being in complete control, this defense swarming. I know they don't have Chubb, but I'm at a complete loss here. With all the injuries the Ravens have, that they would possibly be favorites here. So, and I'm just going to wait. I'll wait until the tide comes back to the Broncos, because this makes no sense to me. I'll write this down, what it's at right now, with 6,733 tickets in, because we'll get 60,000 on our breakdown on Sunday. But right now, 82% of the tickets are on the Ravens, 88% of the cash. And I just, for the life of me, I cannot understand how this could possibly be that way. So I'm not betting this tonight. I don't know what. I'm completely lost, and have to figure out what these sharps, what the big bets are seeing in the Ravens. So for me, Aaron Palut, look at in our chat, we have 67% on the Broncos at -1. So Aaron Peluso says Denver wins 27-17. Randy Brandt says Ravens' confidence level will be high against the Broncos. Look, I get that. I mean, the Ravens can believe in themselves all they want. It's just this Broncos team's a real deal. And yeah, they've been playing against bad teams, but I just think they're very good. I'm not going to move at this point. We'll move on to the next game. Do you agree with this market move from 45 to 44 on the total?
Yeah, I don't see a terribly high scoring game, but I feel like that's right in the pocket.
I'm just like beside all day watching money come in on the Ravens, and I'm like, what? I even had a friend message me. He's like, I need you to put a bet in on the Ravens for me. And I'm like, what? I mean, I didn't say that to him, but in my head, I screamed it. There you have Ravens, Broncos, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be on the Broncos. Real Deal Prime says you're sleeping on Baltimore, guys. I guess I am sleeping on Baltimore. I guess I am at this point. Okay, we'll move on, and we'll be talking about this all week long. This is the most fascinating game on the card for me. We move on to 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Steelers at Green Bay Packers. Steelers 1-2, 1-0 on the road. Packers 2-1, 1-0 at home. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 65 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. The Steelers are coming off a very ugly 24-10 loss at home to the Bengals. First time the Bengals have beaten them at home since 2015. Let's see what we're dealing with from a full game here. This total opening up at 45.5. That's what it is right across the board. 45.5. Green Bay opening up at -7 at +100. Now it's moved to 6.5. Let's go to the money here. 5,119 tickets in. 91% of the tickets on Green Bay. 84% of the cash. 74% of the tickets on the over. 83% of cash on the over. Wild. Roethlisberger goes 38 for 58 for 318 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times and hit 7 times. Constant pressure. Roethlisberger was under constant pressure. And then Burrow, they don't even get a single quarterback hit on Burrow. No TJ Watt, no Alex Highsmith, both dealing with groin injuries. Steelers saw their NFL record of 75 straight games with a sack end. Watt is scheduled to practice this week. Najee Harris ran 14 times for 40 yards. He caught 14 passes for 102 yards, which breaks the Pittsburgh Steelers record. Impressive. Chase Claypool, 9 catches for 96 yards. Center Kendrick Green, right tackle Okorafor, left in the second half with injuries. Okorafor went out with a possible concussion. Green dealing with a knee injury. Steelers have yet to score a point in the first quarter. Their first 8 drives got them 7 points, and Juju Smith-Schuster left in the second half with a rib injury and did not return. Packers come in off a big 30-28 win at San Francisco. Rodgers was 23 of 33 for 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Devontae Adams, 12 for 132 yards. It was extremely impressive after he took that hit from Jimmy Ward. Missing 1 play. This guy is tough as nails. Aaron Jones, 19 carries for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. Chris Barnes, linebacker, left the game in the first half with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. And defensive lineman Tyler Lancaster evaluated for a concussion in the second half. Steelers, Packers. I certainly don't want the Steelers, but is this too big of a spread on the Packers? The market's already moved it from 7 to 6.5. Take it away, Bebsie.
I mean, 6.5 is a lot more enticing. This is aside from their week 1 meltdown, the Packers have looked good. Mm-hmm. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have Devontae Adams, whom I saw some people in the chat being like, look at what Devontae Adams did by himself. Devontae Adams chewed up yards against Dante Johnson. And quite frankly, I can get open against Dante Johnson. So relax on that. But look, Devontae Adams is a top 3 receiver in the NFL. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers can't generate a pass rush against Aaron Rodgers, how are they going to slow this offense down? They can't. And look, Big Ben is done. The Steelers are banged up. If Watt can't play, they don't have a pass rush. And quite frankly, I don't think Tomlin has the tools to really manufacture any of this. Like, manufacture an effort against this team right now. I don't know. I kind of want to jump on Packers -6.5. The Watt injury is huge. It's the only thing that's holding me off right now.
Yeah, I get it. I just Boston Nick says Packers all day, but I'm taking them in a 13-point teaser, 4 legs. I just don't want to simplify everything, but it feels like the Packers are going to be in complete control in this game. The Steelers are going to do what they do, which is these 4 and 5 yard passes. Ben will throw 58 passes at 4.2 yards per pass, and it will do nothing. And that maybe the Steelers team total. Is there a chance that Ben's got something left in the tank that he hasn't shown us?
I don't see how he can. He had a sharp decline throughout the season last year. I thought the months off in between he might be able to get a little bit back, but dude, the dude looks old and broken. I don't feel bad talking about him because he's Ben Roethlisberger. He's done naughty things in his lifetime. But I don't see him having anything left in the tank.
Brady says it won't be long until we see Steelers as double-digit dogs. Dennis Garcia says Pitt has a way of playing up for games like this. This team total at Steelers at 18.5.
I agree with both of those statements from Birdie and Dennis Garcia. Yeah, this is why I'm not jumping on this, is because Dennis is right. They seem to get up for games like this. But Birdie's also right, where it's not going to be long before we see the Steelers. And a lot of it has to circle around Big Ben. This might sound crazy, but I think they're almost better off playing Dwayne Haskins at this point. That's how bad Roethlisberger looks.
Bigger Goose says, like I said 2 weeks ago, Steelers are trash. Like I said 2 weeks ago, Steelers are trash. End of story. Gentle Ben can bend over and take it in the old drink hole. That's not the worst place to take it, I've heard. All right. Big trouble. Big trouble for Ben. How do we not back the Packers here?
I don't know. It's what Dennis said that was in my mind before he said it, which is just the fact that this Steelers team has had a knack, but didn't Juju went down late in that game, and so did Claypool late in the game. Are they both playing? Are they both healthy?
Let's just pull up the final, because I don't see how we don't sit here and grab the Packers first half full game, but I don't want to just, walk into a incoming train, and it feels like it's a thing that we do with these biases after we see the Steelers do absolutely nothing last out. So Watt's going to practice this week. Deontay Johnson is on track to practice this week. Nothing on Highsmith or Davis. Schuster is day to day.
You know what? I'm moving on this right now. The Steelers have been awful. I'm moving on Packers -6.5.
All right. We're on the board. Bebsie, we have 2 big games still, the 8:20 p.m. Bucks Patriots and the Monday Nighter. And I've kept you here for 2 hours and 30 minutes as you've been drinking. Did you want to take a quick minute while I line shop for you and set up this game and meet us back here?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, do that. Why don't you do that so we can sit back, relax, enjoy ourselves for these last 2 games. Okay, so I'm going to line shop for Bebsie here. He is on Packers full game. And honestly, I don't know how I don't join him at this point. Mark Schillingberg says, listen, I'm a Steelers fan. They're washed. This is a hammer spot. And he cashed 6 out of 7 bets on Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Nick Sisson says, as a lifelong third-generation Steelers fan, my money's on Green Bay first half and full game. Schillingberg on Green Bay -7. Wow. Real Deal Prime says, clear cover pack. God, It might be a double up spot for me. Viper MB says Packers good teaser. So we got the Packers full game here. I'm gonna line shop or Bebsie. Get them that 6.5 while it's here. We have a -109 at Pinnacle, -108 at Heritage. So we'll give them full game -6.5 and -108 at Heritage. And then I'm going to look and see when this market moved and compare that to the cash flow here in this Packers spot. So we know that 91% of the tickets and 84% of the cash are on the Packers, and yet the market is moving to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, how does that happen? So Pinnacle opens this up at 7. -7. That quickly becomes, in 2 hours yesterday, it becomes +106. So it moves 6 cents towards Steelers. And then it moves to 6.5. So it only lasts at 7 for an hour and 40 minutes. Lasts at 7 to 6.5 for an hour, 40 minutes. God, if this went from 7 to 7.5, I'd be almost more comfortable. But I don't know how I don't move on the Packers here. And Bebsie, what do you think of this Steelers team total under sitting at 18.5?
Listen, I don't have a ton of faith in the Packers defense. I mean, they've got some players, but with Zadarius Smith out there, they're not as potent on defense as they can be. I mean, they got Jair Alexander, who's an absolute stud, but on one hand, I don't see how the Steelers put up points with Big Ben at the helm, Najee Harris not there yet, no O-line, banged up receivers, but also I don't have a ton of stock in Green Bay's defense.
Dennis Garcia says Monday night, Sunday night football, tight win against team they have history against. Pittsburgh is a non-division game. If you guys believe in spot plays, Pittsburgh is the side. Brady says that's why I bet the under and stayed off the side. Brandon Ware says choo-choo Steelers money line. When all of the tickets and all of the cash are on the Packers and it moves towards the Steelers, I just have to take a pause. Look, I want Packers on my card, but I'm not going to bet it tonight, and I'm going to need to sit on it. We move on to the Sunday nighter. Wow, this is going to be fun. 8:20 p.m. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at New England Patriots. Buccaneers 2-1, 0-1 on the road. Patriots 1-2, 0-2 at home. We're at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. 58 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 3 miles per hour. The Buccaneers open up as 5.5-point favorites. Quickly moves to 6.5. We see 7s on the board now. Patriots total opens up at 49, and it hasn't moved. It was over 49 at -107. It's now under 49 at -107. And Caveman Bet says if you wait on the Packers, you're going to miss the 6.5. There's Sean Dozier in the house. Great to see you. Ski Prophet says this is the game. Let's take a look at where the public money is, or just the money is in general. 10,213 tickets already in on the Sunday nighter. 97% of the tickets on the Patriots. 98% of the cash. That's on the spread. It's wild. On the total, 61% of the tickets on the over. 76% of the cash on the over. Dennis Garcia says the narrative is Brady goes home off a loss will dominate. Says, I didn't know New England's defense was so putrid. Ski Prophet says Bucks team total over 27.5, average 34.3 in this year and 30.3 last year. Big Ragu says bet the house on Champions Bay or Champa Bay. Okay. Bucks coming off a 34-24 loss at the Rams. I was telling my dad that was the easiest bet I think it was for sure this year so far. And when we went down the line with every single sharp that I know, every one of them was on the Rams. Everyone. There wasn't one person who was like saying, "No, trust me, the Bucks are going to take care of business here." Why would they need to? Week 3 of the year, it meant everything to the Rams. It meant nothing to the Bucks. Brady was 41-55 for 432 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Mike Evans 8 catches for 106 yards. Godwin 6 catches for 74 yards. But They only managed 35 yards on 13 carries. And when you look at who leads your team in rushing, if the name is Tom Brady at the top of that list, you're going to lose that football game. 3 carries for 14 yards. 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits. I want you to touch, Bebsie, when it gets over to you, I want you to touch on this Bucs defense because 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits did not look good. Jamel Dean had a knee injury during the first quarter, did not return. Gronkowski took a shot to the ribs during the third quarter, and I respected him coming back. Scotty Miller, doubtful. Running back Giovanni Bernard, day-to-day, slight MCL sprain. JPP, still questionable to go. Patriots coming off a 28-13 loss at home to the Saints. Mac Jones, 30 of 51, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Also ran 6 times for 28 yards. New Orleans sacked Jones 3 times, hit him 11 times. Pats as a team ran for just 49 yards on 17 carries. Kendrick Bourne caught 6 passes for 96 yards and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers caught 9 passes for 94 yards. Matt Judon was a beast, 2.5 sacks. James White carted off the field. Also, Jawan Bentley, who led the team in tackles, suffered an injury. And what was the story? Let me just pull this up quickly. I had it doesn't look good for him. Here we go. Jawan Bentley, who's so key. Oh, sorry, I don't have it. Just questionable at this point. So, Raekwon McMillan, injured reserve, as we know, but did sign a 1-year extension. Not that that matters. Trent Brown and Josh Yuki are questionable right now. Everybody wants to talk about this game. Take it away, Bebsie. Bucs, Patriots.
I don't know. I'm looking at what's being said in the chat here. In my head, I'm like, New England is an okay team. Got a great coach, got a rookie quarterback, got a solid defense. In order to bet on the Patriots, you have to be thinking that Bill Belichick is going to win this game. Bill Belichick is going to know what gets Tom, or it's going to be the narrative is the coach against the quarterback, and you were going to hear it. The game, I don't even want to watch the game. It's going to make me puke. How much they talk about Tom Brady in New England and Bill Belichick and yada, yada, yada. It's just going to be talked about to the point of nauseam. But the Bucs have not been overly impressive this year. You know, they squeaked out a win against the Cowboys to start the season. They got Tampa. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. They got dominated by the Rams this past week. I just think they're so much better than the New England Patriots. And the only thing you can be betting is that they're going into Foxborough and Tom's facing his old coach, and Bill's got some shit on Tom that he knows about that nobody else does. I don't know. They're just a better football team. So hey, tell me why. Tell me why not to bet the Bucs here. I don't know. I don't see what some of these guys in the chat are seeing.
Well, why don't we call out some of the things that they've written in the chat? First off,
does it not feel like, sorry to cut you off again, Jimmy, but does it not feel like Tom is going, like, the winningest quarterback in NFL history? Does it not feel like he's going to go in and take it to his coach that made him sad and made him want to leave? Like, does it not feel like Tom goes in and kicks the shit out of this mediocre Patriots team with a, chubby-ass, pepperoni-nippled rookie quarterback?
Oh, pepperoni nipples. Dennis Garcia says, why do we think Tampa Bay is all that? 2-point win against Dallas, led terrible Atlanta 28-25 midway through the fourth until Ryan started throwing pick sixes, got blown out at the LA Rams. Says, does that sound as if touchdown road favorite versus a competent opponent. Birdie says this line opened at -5. You can bet the Dolphins next week at +9. Something is smelling very, very fishy here. Caution is recommended. This Buck secondary is not the Saints secondary. Drinking Hand in the house. Great to see you, Drinking Hand. My guy always has supported us. Says, I bet on Bill Belichick. Dennis Garcia says, I bet Patriots and the under because I never learn. R says, Pats have one good receiver in Jonnu Smith. I mean, they spent a lot of money on Aguilar and others. And look at the numbers that Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne put up last game. I think they have options. Caveman Bet says Pats need to be able to run the ball to have any success. They couldn't do that last week, and look what happened to them. No run game. Versua and Vita Vea pushing the pocket. The Pats will struggle to score. Viper says this game will be a massacre.
That's what it feels like. Why should the Bucs not murder the Patriots here? Also, I agree with you, Jimmy. So much respect for Gronkowski coming back after that shot. That was a big shot to the ribs. But
I loved it. There was a lot of that.
Why? Why can't the Bucs destroy the Pats here? Is Tom Brady gonna get all emotional and not want to kick the shit out of his own team? He's gonna want to take it to him, and Bill wants to take it to Tom too. But they don't have the firepower. You just mentioned Nelson Aguilar. If you're mentioning Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, that's your receiving core. Jacoby Myers, they're a fine team. They're much better than they were last year. And Mac Jones as a rookie is an improvement on Cam Newton at this stage in his career. We're talking about the defending Super Bowl champions rolling in to play Tom's old team with simply a roster that doesn't stack up.
The Bucs are available for you right now. There's a 6.5 at -111. I don't think this will be here in 48 hours. You don't need to make the decision now. But I tell you what, I am not going to bet at this point, on a team with 96% of the tickets, 98% of cash. Like, it's just, we know that the books get rich off NFL and the public loses in NFL. And now, if I want the Patriots, I'd be an ass clown to bet it now. There'll be a 7.5 on the board at some point. So, I don't know. This is going to take more time and more thought here. Birdie said, I made my money fading both of these teams last week. I wish all bettors in this game good luck. This game made me 2 units last week, and I am content.
I'm looking through this chat right now, and I'm seeing a chat divided.
Not on the poll. We have 39 votes in right now, and 77% are on the Patriots.
77% on the Pats.
Oh, excuse me, on the Bucs. Excuse me, sorry.
On the Bucs.
Yeah,
that
the Bucs are big. Yeah. And then DX Filer said this is a dead under. I think both sides are very familiar with each other.
But if it's a dead under, then are we worried about this spread?
Yes. If it's a dead under, I would be worried about the spread. But if it's a dead under, the score could be 27-13 Bucs. And you could cover easily.
I'm pulling my hair out fucking trying to decide why I wouldn't bet the Bucs here.
What Big Ragu is said is right. Says if you want the Bucs, bet it now. He's got it at 6. Lotus Scalper says Patriots is home dog. If I want the Patriots, which I'm not sure if I have the balls to do, I'm going to get it later. So, but you don't have to make this decision now. This is crucial. Success here is crucial. So if you want the Patriots, And even so, we have one more game to cap, and then you can let me know if you want this.
I 100% will not be taking the Patriots. It's Bucks or nothing for me.
Caveman Bet says, can you see the Patriots putting up 23+ points? Because I have the Bucks scoring 30+. Okay. You don't need to force it. You don't need to force it.
Listen, I said it last year a million times. I am a coward, but I will not be bullied.
I respect that. There is your Sunday nighter, 8:20 p.m. Buccaneers, Patriots. No move for either of us. But I do have interest in these Patriots. I do have interest. I just need to study it longer. This total at 49, Bebsie, I give you a free $500 bet right now. And by the way, Big Ragu says 4-unit play all day, Buccaneers. If I gave you a free $500 bet on the total at 49, do you go over or under?
Under. I go under because I struggle to see the Pats putting up points.
But the Buccaneers had 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits against the Rams.
Yeah, but Matt Stafford gets the ball out in a hurry. Does Mac Jones? Yeah, he does. But Matt Stafford is a beast. Mac Jones is Mac Jones.
Yeah. The whole pepperoni nipples.
We've all seen the photo. Listen, I'm not into fat shaming. I don't think that's cool. I'm against it. But when you're a pro athlete and you're 21 and you're rocking a bod like Mac Jones is, and he's like proudly showing it off with a cigar hanging out of his mouth, what's your deal, guy? Hit the gym. That's a disastrous picture.
We move on to the Monday nighter. Las Vegas Raiders at Los Angeles Chargers, Monday, October 4th. My birthday, Monday, October 4th. I hope to be watching this game with my family in Niagara Falls after spending the day at Fort Erie Racetrack. But my kids are sick. And I don't know if we're going to be able to pull off. We haven't booked the hotel room. But that's my own bullshit. I expect to be at Fort Erie Racetrack. These kids better get better fast. SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. Let's break this down. The Monday nighter. Chargers open up at -3. They're now 3.5s on the board. This total opens up at 52.5 and hasn't moved at Pinnacle. 52.5 and -110. Las Vegas comes in off a big 31-28 overtime victory at home over the Dolphins, off to their best start since 2002. The first team to open up 3-0 against teams that all won 10 or more games in the previous season. Derek Carr, 26 of 43 for 386 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Brian Edwards caught 3 passes for 89 yards. Ruggs, 4 for 78. Hunter Renfrow, 5 for 77 and a touchdown. And we haven't even mentioned Darren Waller yet. This is a team with weapons. Waller caught 5 passes for 54 yards. Look, we got lambasted after our Raiders breakdown last week. Destroyed. How could we be on the Dolphins? What assholes we were. The Raiders were going to win by 10, and we obviously don't watch Raiders games, and blah, fucking blah, fucking blah. I got paid. Did you guys get fucking paid? Below me. Derek Edwards went 26 for 43 for 386 yards. He looked great. He's been looking great. Peyton Barber is the running back, 1 in place of Josh Jacobs. Looked awesome. 23 carries for 111 yards, 1 touchdown. The Raiders' offense outgained Miami 497 to 330. Denzel Perryman was all over the field, 14 tackles. Corey Littleton, 10 tackles. They got 2 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. And Incognito Calf is on injured reserve. Chargers come in off a giant 30-24 win at Kansas City. This is the situation we talk about that I've been talking about all year. You fade a team after a season-defining win. I believe the Chargers win over the Chiefs was a season-defining win. Maybe it's not, but I think it was. And yet, Well, I certainly haven't moved on this game yet. I want to hear everybody's breakdown. Herbert, 26 of 38 for 281 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Mike Williams was his main weapon, catching 7 passes for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eckler and Keenan Allen also caught touchdown passes. Eckler ran 11 times for 55 yards, caught 6 passes for 52 yards. The defense forced 4 turnovers, 2 sacks on Mahomes, but hit him 7 times. Chargers won for the 3rd time in 4 trips in KC. So Joey Bosa played, but defensive lineman Justin Jones and cornerback Chris Harris Jr. are out with the shoulder injury. I'd love to know if they are expected back right now, and at this point, no information. We know that Herbert had his hand wrapped in ice before he left Arrowhead, but he's expected to be good to go. Bebsie, the Monday nighter, Raiders, Chargers. That's a very important half point that just moved over towards the Chargers, and it makes me want to bet the Raiders. Take it away.
I agree, Jimmy. I agree. I that does make you want to bet the Raiders, but also this 3-0 Raiders team they've been the heartbreak kids so far, right? Like, what a start to the season for them. There's a lot to like about this Raiders football team. There's a lot of individual players on this team. I love the stories that have come. The Waller's recovering from being I think it was alcohol, might have been drugs, but a guy whose career was looking like it wasn't going to go anywhere. His life was falling apart. He got right. Max Crosby went to rehab, got his shit right. Jacobs living out of a car. There's so many stories you want to love on this Raiders team, and right now they've been the Cinderella kids. Overtime finishes, crazy finish. That finish against the Ravens was nuts. I want to fade them still, though. I'm looking at a team they're flying too close to the sun right now. And this Chargers team, we talked about it on the show last week. I was saying I think this is a get-right spot for the Chargers. I didn't expect them to win outright, but I did expect them to cover, and they did that. This is going to be a beautiful divisional Monday night matchup, and I can't find a lean either way, so I will sit back and enjoy what I expect to be a very good game.
There's just 3,492 tickets in, and tickets are bet pretty even, 52% Chargers, 48% Vegas, but 90% of the cash is on the Chargers, and it moved from 3 to 3.5. I think that half point is a huge deal. Caveman Bet says John Gruden has Anthony Lynn level play calling. So, look, we know the Chargers are a much better team with Lynn, hurting another sideline. And we know that Lynn is a great guy. Everybody loves him, and that
seems very nice.
Keep you getting a job in the NFL. But Staley, as his team moving in the right direction, he called his quarterback a gangsta. I don't know if I've heard a coach call their quarterback gangsta before. With all that being said, that's a huge hook. The Raiders plus 3.5 after the Chargers go and slay the Chiefs again. It just screams. Sammy Comer says Vegas begging you to take Las Vegas here. They weren't at first when it was a 3, but 3.5. God, I want to take. But okay, let's just take a look at when the market moved here with Pinnacle. So Pinnacle was at 3, so they opened it at 3 on Sunday at 8:15 at night. So it's 3, and at that point, money's coming in on the Chargers, right? Money's coming in, gets to minus 123. It gets to minus 130. It gets to minus 141. So that would be the only thing that would maybe keep me off this bet right now, is the fact that all this sharp money was coming in on the Chargers. But were they just watching the Chiefs game, just believing, drinking the juice? It moves to 3.5. Vegas is at minus 109. and there's been no movement really at 3.5. I just think that hook is a monster, and I want the Raiders at this price. I want the Raiders at plus 3.5. I think the Raiders can keep this close.
If you forced me to bet, we'd be going head-to-head in this one as well, Jimmy.
You'd be on the Chargers minus 3.5.
I would be on the Chargers if I had to bet.
Big Review says Herbert is a god right now, making all the right decisions. Not saying they cover, still trying to figure. Gus Bradley, the difference maker in Las Vegas, best coaching pickup in the NFL. Lotus Scalper says Raiders is the right side here. Birdie says Raiders are 2-0 against the spread as a dog, 0-1 against the spread as a favorite. Chargers are 2-0 against the spread as a dog, 0-1 against the spread as a favorite. I will let you all figure out the pattern here. Dennis Garcia says now the autumn wind is a pirate. So you got to figure out that riddle for yourself. But I know the answer. It's the Raiders. Wow. Drinking Hand says the hook sucks, but I like the Chargers by 7 or more. Caveman says chat poll for this game. No, I'm tiring everybody out with my 3-hour shows. I'm sorry. I'm tiring everybody out. Jose's done great work, man. Jose's done great work, but I'm tiring him out. He's got – oh, there it is.
I'm on suicide watch as well, so I deserve like 5 stars for the show.
Chargers minus 3.5 at 70%. Look, this to me is now. Look, this isn't going to be a spot where it's 100%. It's not a black and white thing, but you have to fade a team after a giant season-defining win. It's the easiest angle in sports betting. You have all of the public thinking that what they saw is real. And I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying the Chargers aren't a great team. But now you come home with all this pressure. Look, I had to get talked into the Dolphins plus 3.5, in all honesty. I had to get talked into it. I'm happy I got talked into it. Here, I've got to be on the Raiders plus 3.5. I've got it. I got to, and I am. Adding Raiders plus 3.5 to my card right now. And the question is, should I wait? Could I wait and get less juice? What is the juice right now? This is the final game on the card. We're going to put a bow on this bad boy. Thank you guys all so much for hanging with us for so long. The Raiders plus 3.5 at minus 110. That sounds like a pretty nice price. Clint started the Die Hard MMA podcast. The Chargers coming off a big win. When are we going to believe the Raiders aren't bad? They've got that magic so far this year. Brady says that is true, Jimmy. So how bad are the Steelers? Look, the Steelers are a bad football team, but this isn't about the Raiders. I think they're a good team. This is about fading the Chargers right now, who feel so good about themselves, and getting the hook on the 3.5. I'm moving on the Raiders.
But how are you not also doing that for the Raiders? 2 of their wins are overtime wins this year.
Yeah, look, the Raiders still have tons to prove. They're not the Raiders are not happy with the final score of the Dolphins game. They almost lost to the Fish with a backup, and we talked about Brissett being as good or better than Tua, but I do not see the Raiders coming in thinking, Ski Prophet says Herbert's better than Carr, Chargers D is better than Raiders D. Okay. Ski Prophet says you don't think the Raiders 3-0 feel good about themselves? Look, did you hear Chucky after the game? He was like, I'm not going to apologize for being 3-0. That's what they felt. They felt like they had to apologize because they barely beat the Dolphins. They're happy that they're 3-0. They're not happy with the way they played. So, yeah, I'm moving on the Raiders plus 3.5. My only question is, could I get better than 3.5? I'm getting minus 110. I'll just move on it here. All right. Bebsie, are you going to move on this Monday nighter at this point?
No, but I'm adding Tampa. I'm doing it.
Okay, you're adding Tampa. One last thing here before we do that. What do you think of this total 52.5 in Vegas Chargers?
Free play under?
Free play under, but tough.
Yeah. I both of these teams are capable of opening it up, getting a little sloppy. But I don't know. Divisional matchup, primetime screams under to me.
I love that the Raiders look bad against the Dolphins. I love that the Chargers look great against the Chiefs. What does that set you up with?
I love that you're turning into Robert De Niro as we finish. I love that these guys. Do you know you're doing that? Do you realize that's what you're doing right now?
It'd be a long day, dude. It'd be a long day.
Don't you like money? I'm telling you what the bet here.
Okay. All right, I'm moving on to Raiders plus 3.5. Let's add Bebsie's Buccaneers. And Dennis Garcia says under 52.5 already played. Under 52.5 already played for Dennis. I'm going to put a little note there that Dennis is on that under so that I can help me with my study. TG on under 52.5. And is there any chance that Jacobs is back? I mean, look, it's still questionable. I mean, I would like Jacobs to be in the lineup, obviously, but Peyton Barber was rejuvenated in that spot. All right, let's give you the Buccaneers here. You have the Buccaneers at minus 6.5 and minus.
I would just like to say, for argue, like every time I bet Tom Brady, I lose. One way or the other, I bet against him, I lose. I bet on him, I lose. So now that I've made that official, everyone should bet on the Pats. I want you all to get paid. I will fall on the sword for all of you.
I want you to succeed on this show in front of our friends, family, and colleagues.
Very kind, Jimmy. Very kind.
Slatsy says thank you and good night. A quick review. Last week's 19 bets will not be happening again. It was I'm still reeling off of the action. Look, I'm moving on the Bengals. It's so public. It's so blatantly public. Maybe it's too public. Maybe I need to think about it a little more, but I feel Bengals first half full game. Then neither of us are on Washington, Atlanta. Again, you'll see Bebsie on Sunday along with 5 other cappers breaking down their best bets. No move for Texans Bills. Bebsie's on the Lions plus 3. I will be going heads up against them. I will be on the Bears. I'm going to sit back and wait for all these Lions lovers and the cash to come in on them, and I will back the team that was embarrassing at Cleveland against that great football team that is now going to be at home against the Detroit Lions. I am curious who will be quarterback for the Bears. Panthers plus 5 minus 110 was the only bet I've already made. Bebsie's on the Dolphins minus 1.5. I have like 10 asterisks beside it. I think I will jump on it as well. Then Bebsie doubled up on the Cleveland Browns. And I love it. I have investments on them for futures, and this game is so crucial to all of that success. So then Giants team total under was almost bet, but not bet. So nothing for us in Giant Saints at this point. Jose, can we close the show on the video you put together on one more time on the Winston video? I'd love that video. Then Titans, Jets, no moves. Chiefs, Eagles, no moves. Then Cardinals, Rams. I want the Cardinals, but at 4.5, I don't want to have the ass end when all my friends are on the 6. I'm going to wait a bit. Maybe I end up moving on it. Maybe it goes to 4 and I'm just the asshole on the outside looking in. We'll see. The under in Seahawks Niners was a very look that I have 4 asterisks beside. You didn't move on it though, Bebsie.
No, I did not.
I'm very interested in it. Ravens Broncos. This is just the most ludicrous situation on the card to me. I for the life of me, I cannot comprehend how the Ravens can become favorites, and that makes me think I've got to stop everything and not bet and study this more and figure shit out. Then Bebsie moved on the Packers full game -6.5, and I've got Packers first half full game sitting here in front of me. But look, these are such public plays, the Packers and the Bengals, and I'm hesitant to wanting to move on them. But Bebsie moved on the Bucks -6.5 at -111. I've got an under with question marks beside it, and no bet for me. Raiders +3.5. I'm moving on tonight. I like that hook very, very much. And I'm nervous that everybody jumped on the Chargers at -3, but I want it. Bebsie, you're a beauty. Great work. What are we at? 3 hours, 5 minutes. It's my fault. I just love this shit so much. I milk every last second of it, and it's
I'll
5
talk
weeks are coming up.
Football with anyone who will listen to me, so don't apologize to me.
Well, we love you very, very much, and I love working with you. Big Ragu says Vikes look good this week. 2 in dog rule. Schneider says Rams will take the Cardinals. Look, I don't care if they take the Cardinals. I just care if they cover the points. They can win all they want. What a treat it is to roll with you guys. On behalf of Jose, myself, Jeff Slaughter, everybody at Pub Sports Radio, we had Boston Nick and Clint in the chat as well. We had Big Ragu, Al Cervic, Snook Slayer, Lotus Capper, Real Deal Prime, Caveman Betts, Alvin Smith, R, Drinking Hand. Says, nice to see you live. Give the kids a hug from Uncle Drink. I love this guy. Uncle Drink. What a guy. Sean Dozier, Puzzler, all you guys. Thank you. Gerardo Hernandez, Crystal Warren, Slatsy45, all you guys. Thank you guys so much for this battle that we fight week in and week out. Bebsie, any last words for these great cappers in the chat?
Thank you, as always, for joining us. We have no show without you. You guys are the absolute best. But Bebsie, he needs a big week this week. So we all need a big week. Let's get paid.
A giant week awaits. Let's have a giant football season.
I think we got to get a week-to-week soundbite compilation going, clip show, just what we have to say about Jameis Winston. I believe that Jameis Winston will be fine, but I think Jameis Winston's going to have a good year. And
I think that Jameis Winston should win Comeback Player of the Year, possibly lead the NFL in passing yards. Winston looked so in control. He's just different.
I have faith in Jameis. Is it as simple as laser eye surgery?
Jameis Winston looked lost, and he's incapable of communicating and making smart decisions.
And then this week, you literally just said, I don't think he has what it takes between the ears to be an elite NFL quarterback. And you might be right. He did look terrible.